Hello, everybody. This is the Political Matrix by way of what I've been thinking with Marcus Cage. Um, as you can see, I have a special guest with me, Sebs Solomon.
Hello, hello.
The rest of the group will be joining shortly after. It is my mistake. I forgot to send out the link, so Elle and Emmanuel will be joining us shortly. Man, my glasses are super foggy. They will be joining us shortly. Um, our good brother Emmanuel, I mean, not Emmanuel, but Chris, hopefully he will be able to join us. He's having a couple of issues, you know, not feeling in the best shape right now. So everybody, hopefully you guys, put out your well wishes or prayers if you're faith people, and just pray for our brother. Hope that he feels better and able to hop back, bounce too. Um, let's see. We got a bunch of topics that we can dive into, but before we get diving into those topics, I feel like I've been the big news that's been going on, kind of the independent sphere. Not very super important, but something interesting about what's been going on with Fred Hampton's leftists. And so I've been kind of wondering, Sebs,
Hmm.
what have you been hearing? What is some of your take on, like, last I heard, Compton J was voted out by a 7-2 margin, and then somebody said something about they might have brought him back. I don't know. What have you heard about that? If you've heard anything about it.
Yeah, I heard like small, just like a little bit about it. I haven't really looked into it very much, but it seemed like they were going to kick him out, but I guess now he's back on, so I guess that's a good thing. But then it's like, well, why are you going to kick anybody off anyway? So um, it's just kind of weird. I don't really know. I don't watch their content that much, to be quite honest.
Yeah.
However, so I don't really know much about them. Except I've seen some of Sabby Sab's stuff, but I don't really watch often enough to have like a thorough opinion. But yeah, it seemed kind of weird. I don't know. It's like, well, okay, like I think it was because they kicked him out because they said he was like double streaming or streaming with someone else and what have you. And I just thought that was weird. It's like, well, like you should be able to do whatever you
Wow.
want, but I don't
If
really know
that's
how
the
things work.
reason,
So
if that's the
I think it
reason,
was one of the
double
reasons.
streaming. I mean, I
Yeah.
literally encourage my co-host to go on other platforms. Elle literally has her own YouTube channel and her own podcast. I
Hmm.
I I I think that's insane if you're trying to restrict your people like that. I mean, that's crazy to me. I mean, like just like even like me, Chris, and Emmanuel, like started off from the beginning, and it was other Chris Richardson was also a part of the team for a brief moment.
Mm.
But I never had it in my head that you're gonna do what I say when I say, that kind of mentality. The only thing I've ever done is like, if there's information which I want all of us to review it, then yeah, I want everybody to at least take the time to look at the information. You don't have to, we don't have to agree on any of it, but just view the. That's the only real stipulations I put on. Now I'll admit lately, and I'll go into it once we start the show. I've kind of put a little bit more stipulations, and that's only because YouTube is like really, really breathing down our necks, kind of tough
Hmm.
right now, as to why we're on my other channel doing this, in the first place.
Hmm.
Because for those who don't know, with the strike that we got a 2 week ban also. So we're not allowed to do any content for 2 weeks on that channel. So this channel, it started off more kind of traditional politics and little history here and there, and I've kind of weeded away from the two party nonsense, if you will. So I've kind of been drifting, a little bit with that channel and just an interview here and there. I do have something that I do have planned to work on. I'll have Jalen. Jalen will be joining me for those who've seen him on before. So, but that's why we're on this channel right now. So, hold on one second. Yeah, sorry about that. Had a little distraction, but yeah, that's why we're over here filming on this platform. I've even told plenty of my other friends and colleagues that hey, whenever you want, I have you in the group DM. Anytime you guys want to just like hop in, just hop in on whatever conversation that we're talking about. If you got information you guys want to break or just stories you want to talk about, it's a welcome platform for that. As far as like what you were saying, I don't really do much with them either. I feel like as as black, I guess as black content creators, even if I don't necessarily agree with them, I want to try to be at least cordial. I felt like I've tried over and over and over to extend the olive branch, and when Compton Jay and Afeni got kicked off of Jen Perlman's show, I actually, came to their defense. So, I don't know.
I
what are
didn't
your
know they
thoughts?
got kicked off of Jen Perlman's show. I didn't know that.
Yeah, she was. They went on there, and I didn't feel like watching the whole thing, but
Hmm.
the gentleman who's on with Jen Perlman started, in my opinion, started getting very condescending and trying to answer what Compton Jay was saying before he said it. And it felt very condescending. And Jay just started getting really hot and started letting him have it. And they booted him off. Afeni's still sitting there, not even saying a word. And she just kind of like
Hmm.
puts her hands on her head, and then boom, they bump her off too.
Hmm.
And so, I mean, it was kind of insane how the whole thing went down. I see we got some of our friends in here, Tenderlongs, RSFO, and I think I even saw Shadow Band in here early. Hello,
Oh.
hello everybody. How you all doing?
So see, I didn't know all that, the backstory with that, because I never really, never watched their show, so I don't really know what they talk about or anything like that. I think, what do they cover? Just everything, like foreign
They
policy?
um they more and more work towards kind of more mutual. It's kind of like since it's like 11 of them, I think they kind of have a couple of different topics.
Okay.
You have what is it? You have kind of more the mutual aid stuff. I know Rome is very big on helping the homeless and stuff, and so I do shout outs and applaud the Rome, even though we've kind of had some heated words here and there.
Mm,
Um, but anybody who's trying to do good stuff out there for people, I definitely got a lot of respect for them.
absolutely.
My beef with them more or less, and it's probably why I've had some tension with some of the other people of late, would be I'll just fucking call it out, Nick.
Mm.
I have a beef kind of with Nick, and this goes back for quite a while. I mean, when he was doing his when he was
Is
with the Bernie
he's the one
Express.
who, sorry, he's the one who
Oh,
goes, he's like the main one of the main ones, right? I've seen him
yes,
on Jimmy Dore's. I think I saw him on Jimmy Dore's show like a couple of weeks ago, like randomly.
yeah, he got
He's the one.
he actually got kicked off with his interview on Status Coup from
Oh,
yeah,
oh,
he was a
why?
Bernie volunteer, and I believe he was actually one of the door knockers in
Mm.
South Carolina.
Oh, he was
George
like
interviewed
canvassing
him
and stuff.
down there,
Uh,
and that kind of catapulted his success,
mm.
and that's where like his name really got out there in a lot of in a lot of circles.
Yeah.
Well, I reached out to him wanting to start like a platform for young black leaders.
Mm.
And because I felt like in this independent sphere, there's not a lot of room for, or I'll say even minorities as a whole, to really get their point of views out there. And so I figured if I could get like a collabo of a bunch of powerful people, and a couple of different points of views, we could kind of build something like that. Well,
Hmm.
I reached out to Nick. I reached out to somebody who was doing something in the entertainment industry, and it all kind of fell apart. Nick ended up starting his own group off of the idea which I had talked to him about, And so he can say, well, maybe I was already working on that. I feel like it was something like he kind of took my idea and started his own thing with it. And that's why he's never, ever responded to me since then. Like, even if I can tweet him out, I can tag his name in there, he will not respond to it. And,
That's odd.
And I felt like I'm from KCK, he's from KCMO. I felt like that would be a nice natural fit, you know, some little, you know, city brotherly love. And yeah, he just kind of, I guess, gave me the finger on it and then did his own thing with Rome and a couple other people who were already out there. And so I guess maybe he felt my platform wasn't big enough, or I wasn't, you know, worth, you know, lining up with. And so he took that angle.
That's unfortunate.
I'm cool with Sebs. I mean, not Sebs, but Sabby. I've been on a panel with Sabby and RJ. I went on their platform on RJ's show, and you know, had a good conversation. But as far as like the rest of them, like RJ kind of focuses more on history, political history in a sense. You know, then you have, Jackie, and I can't remember the other girl's name. They kind of do more like deeper meaning to like comic books and things like that. So they're kind of doing they're kind of in their own niche lane, you know. So they're all kind of doing something a little different. And then their main platform is kind of more, independent. I guess kind of more like a third party type lane. I think they're with I think they're pushing like the MPP party and all that stuff. So I don't get involved in really the electoral politics, you know, crap.
Yeah.
I think it's all theater, so I don't waste my time with it.
Yeah,
you know.
I mean, I don't have a problem. Like, I won't hate on anybody for engaging in it if they're coming from like a principled place, but it's like, just be honest about it as well, you know? Like, don't cap for somebody just because you think that, oh, that person can do this, and then, you know, a little bit of this, but then that person's also, you know, screwing this over, or these people over, or those people over. It's like, just once you start making excuses and stuff, and you get on that, like, you know, propaganda mode, and then it's, I don't know, like, I don't have that mode. So for me, it's like, I just, yeah, I'm not gonna cap for anyone as far as like if somebody that I know very well, like, does something and then someone's like questioning them, I'll be like, okay, well, you know, like, I know this and this happened, and I'll try to understand it, but not from like no, like, I know this person, like, they're not like this. And you just start making excuses like, oh, maybe they're just hanging out with the wrong people, whatever it may be. So I just, yeah, I'm not good at that. So
and I'm not trying to like throw,
I don't want to be.
I'm not like trying to throw dirt on them and say like they're, you know, into some kind of hustle or whatever. Well, I won't put that past Nick. But the rest of them, I believe that they're mostly honest actors. I just feel, in my own opinion, personally, I feel like the game is basically rigged, and I feel like I don't know why that's not obvious to see at this point. Some people are still thinking, well, you know, if we get, you know, some more pressure on AOC, and, you know, I know that she's not doing this or doing that, but if we can just pressure this person and that person and this person, we can get some stuff that, and I'm like, yeah, whatever. And then you have half of them who are pushing into, you know, communism and all of that stuff. And so I just feel like you guys are all fighting a large uphill battle that's going nowhere.
Well, I don't necessarily have a problem with the concept of communism, for me personally, as far as like, if it's done in a I guess people think about it as like a authoritarian, like inherently, which is, I think that is incorrect. It's more like, the idea of it is actually more about personal freedom, in the way that I've interpreted it. But I guess it's all about like what something means to you, or like your intentions behind it, right? Like, it's not so much about, if you're about like, you know, social engineering and changing people's behavior or whatever, then, you know, because you think that they need incentives for this and that, then no, I'm not down with that. However, if it's coming from more of like a place of, I guess you could even call it like just humanity and like rooted in some sort of like ethics and principles where you want to like take care of people. Like you're not taking away, you know, someone's individuality, but it's like you're not also just thinking about yourself so much that you abandon everybody else and everything else. There's a balance, right? And of course, it starts with you, but like you can't forget about the people around you, just because you're concentrating on your own happiness. So that's kind of where I come from with that, but not so much the, you know, like, you know, this is what we need in order for people to act this way or that way. More just like have some fucking compassion, like for other people, you know. And you can start with yourself, right? Have some compassion for you, because I guess if you can't do that, then you can't do it for other people. So that's just kind of where I come at with that. So I don't know. I know people have their own issues with communism. Maybe they came from a communist country and they didn't have, you know, they had a terrible, I don't know, just like an upbringing there, or they just, you know, things were bad. And it's not to say that it's just because their government was bad or because communism was bad that happened. It could also just be like there were corrupt people, right, that were dealing with that, or that were in the head of government, or that there were pressures that were coming from the outside as well that also influenced certain things. So there's just a lot to take into account. I think that it would just be too simple to say that, you know, it's either like, oh, it's just capitalism, that's the problem, that's it. Or it's just communism, that's the problem, it's like, it's the same thing. So that's just kind of the angle that I come at it. But when I do kind of critique like economic systems or structures, I normally talk about neoliberal policies, because you can literally trace that to, you know, like the Chicago school and like how they, you know, started things in Chile and whatnot. So like you could talk about like you know, there's specific policies that you can talk about, or specific schools of thought, and not just reduce everything to end communism or end capitalism and then everything will be fine. It's like that's kind of where I come at it.
I completely agree with you. I don't look at any system per se as actually necessarily evil inherently. Fascism, yes, that's an inherently evil system. That's
the intention, right? Of it.
Yeah, that's the intention, to control and be dominant. But for a while, I considered myself an Epicurus. You familiar with that?
No, tell me.
Epicureanism is actually the genesis of where communism actually roots out from. It goes back to the Greek philosopher Epicurus. Epicurus actually lived in a commune with only his friends and brethren. Now, him personally, he was completely celibate. He didn't believe in getting married and things like that. But they lived in a basically equal shared communal relationship with each other, where everybody was equal. Everybody got along, and everybody tried to work to better the whole community as a whole. My problem with communism when it goes into application is, or even Epicureanism when it goes into application, is the moment that somebody has to rise up as the actual leader, then it starts defeating the point of being all equal. So I don't feel like we actually have any actual real examples of communism actually period in the world, because there's always these levels of stratification, and as long as you have these levels of stratification, you can't actually completely have equality, because somebody always has more privilege. That doesn't mean that I think the systems are wrong. And I feel like even like Mao and some of those people who tried to push it, Lenin, the problem is they turn into authoritarians. It's the authoritarianism which it is when things start going off the rails. And that's the problem which you have in fascism. That's the problem you have in authoritarian socialism, authoritarian communism, authoritarian capitalism. It's all about that authoritarian at the top who starts pushing their will per se. Kelly, we have oh shit, it's still not in there. Sorry, let me go back and see. I thought I sent it. Maybe I'm just messing up. I put it in the. I think I put it in the wrong one. Sorry. my team. I'm the goofball here. I screwed up again. But yes, there's the link. Emmanuel and Elle will be joining us. And then we'll get into more of these topics that we have on our hands. We do have a bunch. Let me go back to that and read off what we have. We have tonight infrastructure, our special guest, which I'm so happy and so excited to have, Sebs Solomon, also known as Red Sea Cactus on Twitter. If you guys are not following her, make sure you follow her. And also on the Discord, she is known as Duck Nasty. And so always give them a lot of hell.
The nastiest hater, yes.
The nastiest hater. Hate. Hell yeah. And Allie is always in there too, you know. Ruckus Bunch, always having a lot of fun. So please, if you guys aren't on the Discord, in Yell Bros Discord, it is kind of like the Wild Wild West. You guys can pretty much say whatever you feel like saying, even if you're a complete dipshit or asshole like Dubster is. So that, I mean, he's just, the reason why I said it, because he literally, whether you are a Democrat or not, he decides that if you're not a Republican, you're a Democrat.
Mm-hmm.
Even though
I'm familiar.
I haven't voted for anybody I voted for Bernie in the primaries. Mm-hmm. And that was like a duress kind of. I was like, okay, it's a last hope.
I think you were cutting off just for a second there at the very end.
Is it not let me?
Here you are. Oh, I see Elle. Hi, Elle.
Sup?
Oh, there we go. I clicked in. There we go. Elle is in the house. And I imagine E will be hopping in soon. My apologies, Elle. I'm the slacker here. Everybody, it is me. It's not Elle's fault. Elle is normally here before me. And so that's when I noticed, if Elle's not here already, then I must have did something wrong. The other topics that we have, and we have, was it New York governor and her mess? I definitely want to talk about that. We're not gonna go into too much detail. I did say that I was gonna do, I'm gonna do like a little brief statement, or I guess statement and disclaimer, in talking about some of these things. We have California, Gavin Newsom, what he's doing out here. Eddie Griffin had a statement that was pretty interesting, which I loved and enjoyed. NBA players are pushing back, and of course more. And you guys heard some of them more a little bit earlier. And I see Thomas in there. Hey, Thomas, brother, how we doing? I'm going to be careful. I guess I'll start off with saying that we are going to be as careful as we can. I'm not going to be really, as far as COVID, unfortunately, we're going to have to cover almost like straight, boring news. Governor said this, and take it that you all know how we feel about it. You all know that that basically, even though you don't see it, but it's almost like an invisible axe hanging over our heads if we say anything wrong. So even if we're reading articles, and this is what I was explaining with Emmanuel and Chris, I've talked about it a little bit with Elle. Even if we're citing from articles, because we're kind of on a watch list, all we have to do is say something like, well, that's bullshit, or this person is corrupt, and boom, that's all they need. It's kind of like when they're watching you so hard, they're waiting for you to not give that one disclaimer, even though it's obvious that you're speaking on your own opinion, that you're not trying to spread any medical information, any of that. They are looking for a reason to get rid of you. And so that's something that we had been having before Elle joined the show also. And we had kind of already been a little bit self-censoring ourselves. And for those who have followed our show for, the year and some change that we've been around, know how much censorship trouble that we've had, especially with YouTube. So it's no surprise that our channel is one of those that's targeted that they would like to, bump out of the way. So we will say things and allude and let you guys figure. I mean, and in Discord and other platforms, you guys know that we speak a lot more freely. Normally, I would be with the mindset of saying, you know what, throw caution to the wind and just going ahead and do it. But because there are so many other stories which are vitally important, also, I want to be able to try to get out some of these messages, even if we have to, self-censor ourselves a little bit in another area, because I feel like there are not platforms that are talking about some of the things that we go into, especially when we start going into the Great Reset and Event 201, and how I like to go into, or as Elle calls them, the Predator class. And when we start breaking down all of the things which are going on as far as them buying up land all over the place, some of the stuff that's going on with crops, some of the stuff that Monsanto is doing, some of these, a lot of these other things that I feel they're just as important as what's going on day to day with the COVID stuff. And so I don't want to throw caution completely to the wind on something like that, especially when most of our audience is already in agreement with our stances on the COVID stuff. I just want to be able to inform them of the next angle or the next wrinkle, which they're doing, without getting into a situation where it looks like we're pontificating, or, giving medical misinformation, which we all know that's an easy game which they can play whenever they want to get rid of you. So that's why I've kind of unfortunately asked my co-host to be very careful, and some of these things that we're just gonna kind of not really go too hardcore into. And so we'll just kind of, like, for instance, and when it goes into some of the data stuff, yes, they didn't say anything about us not being able to link the articles in the chat. So the fact that we still have the ability to do that, I will use that. They can't send. I mean, the audience has the right to say whatever they want to. So I don't see how they can censor us for whatever's said in the chat. Especially if somebody wanted to put information to allude more towards what you guys know we more than likely agree with or support. Hint, hint, wink, wink. But that said, what did we want to start with? I got a couple of stories. Elle has a story about the World Health Organization, which I definitely am. I'm not even going to introduce it. Anything. I want to let completely bring us into that story and bring us on the loop to it. I didn't even hear. That's why I still feel like we still need to let everyone know all of these different things that are going on here and there. So
I agree.
We got E in the chat. Hey, Emmanuel, how are we doing, brother?
Emmanuel.
Hey, what's up, guys?
Hey.
Hey.
Oh shoot! Special guest. We got the tandem in here. Ali in the building too.
Oh yes, you finally made it.
My phone will quit playing with me. See, I know that I'm not on my Wi-Fi, even through my StreamYard.
Hi.
Hello.
Hello. Hello. Relate the number. Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Hi. Good,
Full
good.
room.
I know. Thanks for having me on. Glad I could pop on this time.
Hey.
Hey. What's up?
Hi, it's an
Hi.
honor. Hi.
Oh, too
Oh,
kind.
that's good.
Honored to meet you.
How's everybody
How are you all
doing?
doing? Good,
Pretty
good.
good.
Yeah.
Pretty good. Marcus, how are you? He's just gonna disappear
I'm
when we
doing
ask a
good.
question.
I'm glad you.
That's his new tattoo.
Right? I'm sorry, Marcus. What were you saying? I'm sorry.
Well, I have to be able to have some kind of tactics because, you know, they're always hunting me. They're attacking me. You know.
Oh.
See, look at this. Oh, see, they found us and they're already playing with us. I tell you, whoever it is who plays with our channel, I know how they do it. They literally assign somebody to our channel. And I imagine it's the same person on both channels, or else they tag team because they do the same shit. They like to
That's
you know, streams with mic volume, all that stuff at the same time. So
Terrible.
yes. How is everyone doing now that we have everybody here?
Doing well.
Terrible.
Doing well.
I also want to talk about
Still
your
alive.
story that you have. I did not mention it yet. E, about the I won't even mention it. I will just let you do it, and L, I will let you break your story about the WHO all over. I imagine before I get going, I imagine probably Allie and Sebs probably know because they're way smarter than I am. So I'll let you all take it away.
Oh. Go right ahead, because I'm just coming.
Which story? Which World Health
What are we
Organization?
talking
What do they do
about?
now? I actually genuinely don't know. What did they do?
Me either.
Yeah, I've already L had very.
Oh,
interesting.
L. Okay. Got it.
Okay.
And I don't
I
hear
was
L.
like,
Oh, it's me?
Or
yeah.
else
Let's
we
see it.
can come back when you hop in, L. Yeah,
I'm
your
ready.
story about the WHO. That was something that was very.
Well,
and I was like, I didn't even hear anything about that. So can you
you wouldn't.
you know, let everybody know about that story?
It kind of popped up on Twitter the day after it came out in an article, Globe and Mail. But I did talk about it on my podcast. Shout out to my podcast, superawkwardfuncast.podbean.com, on the last episode, which was posted on the 30th of September. Now it's October. It's called WhoTube. So it's about poop. And also about the policy we're not talking about that we have to abide by. So I go deep into that and get all the topics you can't get here there. So even shit that you wouldn't even think to mention, I mention because YouTube mentioned it first. So I have to talk about it a little bit. But I don't really discuss anything that much in that portion of it where I'm reading off the policy. But I do put stuff in the notes with sources that are fucking insane. So check out the sources if you do nothing else, because you don't want to listen to me. That's fine. I totally understand. I don't either. So go ahead and go there, everybody in the chat, when you can, and check out the sources, because it's a lot of good information. And maybe I'm a little exasperated and I lose my voice in the podcast, but I try my best to go through it. And it's like a shorter episode too. It's like less than an hour and a half because I fucked up so much I had to edit everything to the T. But that's because I made a mistake and I had to correct it. And you'd think the media would do that every once in a while, but not so much.
Yeah. It's like the last thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm trying to open the article, but it's not opening, so I'll try it on my phone instead. Site can't be reached. Interesting.
Oh, no.
I wonder if they got rid of it. Oh, that would be
Everything's
insane.
getting weird.
Mm-hmm.
No, I mean like from the article.
Well,
Okay, no, it's back.
they have
Okay.
been
good.
cracking down forever.
It's good. It's good. It's just Brave being weird. Okay, so
They do take stuff down from time to time, though. Like after a couple of years.
they
or
do,
sometimes
yeah.
months, so
You have to archive,
right.
and then
Mhm.
They
takes
do.
me to the
You're
Wayback
correct.
Machine. If I can go to the Wayback Machine, I go there.
Yeah, same.
So, yeah.
Yep, me
So
too.
I do like that about Brave. Shout out to Brave. Okay. So Globe and Mail. I can put this on the screen. Hold on. Good old Tedros. I'll put it. Should I put it in the chat?
Sure.
And then somebody can put it up. I could put it up, but whatever.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, it's just I'm getting everything a little bit slow, so my apologies.
Oh yeah. So this. So yeah,
so,
Tedros Speaker Mariam.
yeah.
He was part of that cover up. That story
Yeah.
in the Congo.
I gotta read this.
Yep. I'm
Oh,
gonna
go
He
ahead.
does such great
gonna-
work.
I'm gonna scan it really quick. This article. Okay. Oh Lord.
Is that working? Nope. Stop sharing.
Oh yeah, remember we don't have Chris tonight, so I won't be able to throw anything up on the screen share.
Okay, well then we'll have to take my word for it
Yeah,
on the
my
rape
six-
case. So that's fun.
Right.
Okay, well I'll read it word for word. The title is
Uh-oh.
the headline is WHO employees or WHO employees perpetrated sexual crimes in Democratic Republic of the Congo during Ebola outbreak, report alleges. And this is from the Africa Bureau Chief Jeffrey York from Johannesburg. I'm giving all the information, published September 28th, 2021 in globeandmail.com, on theglobeandmail.com. So it says here, at least 21 employees of the World Health Organization allegedly committed rape, sexual abuse, or sexual exploitation in the Democratic Republic of the Congo during an Ebola outbreak from 2018 to 2020, an official investigation has found. The employees, including many who promised jobs to vulnerable women, you know that whole story, and girls in exchange for sex, ranged from security guards and drivers to senior doctors, consultants, and epidemiologists, both Congolese and foreigners, according to the final report of a year-long independent review commissioned by the WHO. They can just commission their own report. In total, 84 incidents. They kind of bury this part. I said on Twitter, if you check my Twitter page, that they mention this once and then they go somewhere else afterwards, so you don't even remember it. But this is what it says in this paragraph. In total, 84 incidents of sexual abuse and exploitation in the Ebola zone were reported, with victims as young as 13. So now it's not only rape allegations, it's pedophilia. It's Epstein shit. And we can't even call it what it is because we're the Globe and Mail. I don't know what we do, but we're just bearing the lead here. There were 9 rape allegations among the recorded incidents. Some of the WHO employees even administered abortion pills to their victims when they became pregnant, the report found. This is a dark day for WHO, said the agency's Director General Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus.
Ghebreyesus.
Whatever the hell his name is. Ghebreyesus.
Yeah, Ghebreyesus.
The report's findings are a sickening betrayal of the people we serve, he told a media briefing in Geneva Tuesday. We want the perpetrators to know there will be severe consequences for their actions. Sure. The WHO's regional director for Africa, I'm never going to get this name right, Matshidiso Muti, maybe I got it right, said the agency is humbled, horrified, and heartbroken, bunch of H's, by the findings. Dr. Tedros said he had made 14 visits to the Ebola zone during the outbreak and was never informed of the sexual abuse allegations. Probably I should have asked questions, he said. But he did not respond directly when a reporter asked him if he intended to resign, because he'll never resign, because he's a coward. This month, several
he's been nominated to be the president of the WHO again, or to be head of the WHO again, but not even by his own country, by 2 other, I think Switzerland and some other country. Yeah,
that makes
but go
sense.
on. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
Mhm.
he shouldn't have been in power in the beginning. In the
He's
first
a friend of
place.
Bloomberg's. He's a Michael
Yeah.
Bloomberg guy.
Of course it is.
Yeah, that
Of
makes
course he is.
sense.
That makes
Right.
perfect sense.
Makes
This,
They had like
That
a
makes
stop
sense.
tobacco program together like several years ago. That
yeah,
they were gonna, So, but go
they
ahead.
just were going to get to that part with the European countries. They said this month, several European and African countries said they had nominated him for a second 5-year term to begin next May. And then one of the sexual abuse allegations was known within the WHO as early as May 2nd, 2019, according to emails uncovered by the investigation. Yet senior WHO staff did not launch an investigation or even seek further information at the time because they decided the complainant was not a beneficiary of WHO services. Dr. Tedros said the report, there's a lot of quotes from this guy here, was harrowing to read. He personally apologized to the victims. I'm sorry for what was done to you by people who were employed by WHO to serve and protect you. He said, I'm sorry for the ongoing suffering that these events must cause. I'm sorry that you had to relive them in talking to the commission about your experiences. I bet he's really sorry about that part. Thank you for your courage in doing so. What happened to you should never happen to anyone. It is inexcusable. Well, get rid of the person who allowed it, is what I say. He said it in his it is his top priority to ensure that the perpetrators are held to account, but not the people who covered it up. Of the 21 employees, that's not in the article, identified by the investigators, 4 were still working for the United Nations, which has its own past in this area.
And the UN peacekeepers have been accused of that as well in the Congo specifically.
Yeah.
The same peacekeepers that they try to force like the countries to let into their countries when there's a humanitarian crisis, but it's like, okay, but we can't bring up your but you are a humanitarian crisis as well. Like, you have to perpetuate it. Like, why are you here? But go on.
True. The health agency this month, their contracts have now been terminated, Dr. Tedros said. All 21 have been banned from future WHO employment, and other UN agencies will be notified about them, he said. The WHO is also sending evidence of the rapes to the authorities in the DRC and the home countries of the alleged perpetrators. Should they be allowed to do that? I don't know. I don't think so. In addition, 2 of the agency's senior staff have been placed on administrative leave for failing to take proper action in response to the sexual abuse complaints, and others are being investigated. In my view, the failure of the WHO employees to respond adequately to reports of sexual exploitation and abuse is as bad as the events themselves, Dr. Tedros says. The agency will take steps to improve its staff screening, recruitment, training, and standards of behavior, beginning with leaders and managers, he said. The victims believe the WHO employees would have impunity for their abuses, the report found. While the investigation found 75 alleged victims of abuse, there was a total absence of reports of sexual exploitation and abuse at the institutional level during the reporting period, the report says. The consequences of reporting may be perceived as too negative compared to any benefit it would bring. During the Ebola outbreak, the WHO was completely unprepared to deal with the risks of sexual exploitation and abuse, the report says. Among the many cases it describes was one of an expatriate WHO epidemiologist who exploited a young nurse's desperation for a better paying job. He told her she had to become his girlfriend to get it, the report says. She rejected his advances and did not get the job. Another expatriate is the one who gave abortion pills to the girl who became pregnant after he made her sleep with him after threats. And then the abuses were first reported in September 2020 by journalists from the New Humanitarian and the Thomas Reuters Foundation. Their investigation, citing reports by 51 women, said, and children, we're forgetting about the children, right? But okay, they're women, sure, said the sexual abuse and exploitation was perpetrated by men from the WHO and other agencies, including UNICEF, Oxfam, World Vision, and Médecins Sans Frontières.
Doctors Without Borders, yeah.
Yeah, the French one, yeah. The WHO requested an investigation by an independent commission headed by Achitu Mindodo a former cabinet minister in Niger, and Julien Losange, a human rights activist in the DRC. The co-chairs appointed 3 other members, including Carol Dessette, a Canadian expert on women's rights and sexual abuse, Paula Donovan, co-director of independent group AIDS Free World and its Code Blue campaign, which seeks an end to impunity for sexual offenses by UN personnel, said that WHO should not have been allowed to choose experts to investigate itself for criminal wrongdoing, which obvious to us that would be, but not to everyone else. The WHO is still deciding whether, when, or in which cases to alert police and courts, Ms. Donovan said in a statement Tuesday. This is not justice for victims. The UN's member governments must immediately order all UN bureaucrats to step away and allow a bona fide criminal investigation to commence. And that's where the article ends.
Sounds like more boilerplate spin.
Yeah.
No one's going to be held accountable.
Part of the peacekeepers.
Yeah.
Peacekeepers, man.
The people who keep us all so safe
Well,
and care about our public health.
it's a shame because, stories like this don't really help the arguments that, like, the UN will make for, groups like this. Obviously, like, they'll try to say they're coming in to do all of this good. I mean, there's many ways that you can argue against that, but just in the most basic fashion, the way that they handled this particular instance doesn't seem good. I mean, to me, this is just like a little tiny peek into a bunch of shit that's real spooky, in my opinion. I don't know, what do you guys think?
Mm-hmm.
And how much is not covered up? Like
Exactly.
Right.
There's that too. There's how much is like not covered up, and just like how, because of you're dealing with a lot of also like displaced people, right? A lot of people who don't have other people. So it's a little bit more, I'm not saying anybody's life is worth more than the other, but some people are more vulnerable than others. And it's like, it's unfortunate. Like it's, because those are the stories that you don't really hear about very often. And not in like a, like, oh, like, I don't know. I'm not trying to make it like a black, white, whatever thing, because I know sometimes people make it that way, but just, I think it's just like the more displaced, more vulnerable, more like the less you have people looking for you, like the less you're going to hear about your story. So it's quite unfortunate. And there's plenty of those in the DRC.
Just like the vulnerability. I mean, you can't, some people have never experienced what a lot of, those displaced people have experienced, so the trauma that comes with that already. And then just to be faced with something like this by people that are supposedly there to help you. Though I'm curious what those people even think of groups like this. I can imagine I can't imagine actually. I mean, I can try to imagine, but that's not something that, brings me joy. So it's like you said, what stories aren't covered? What is just accepted as just like reality there. So
yeah, because you have people championing it, right? Like when something goes down and you have like, oh no, they need to let the aid in, they need to let the UN, and they need to let US aid, or like all these other people. And it's like, okay, they're like, oh, these people they don't have any food. It's about to be the largest famine. It's like you hear all these things, and it's not to say that there's no validity to it. It's not to say that there maybe aren't like violent things happening there, right? But it's like, it's like, I don't know. It's like you almost have to compromise one thing for another, and I don't know. It's just kind of a mess. It's like, oh, we're just trying to mitigate harm right now. It's like, but you're not really dealing with the issue. So, what's the point of doing it this way anymore? I don't know. And it could just be changed so quickly with like just a choice that you can make to not do it that way anymore. So,
just a choice, right? Like, I mean, I know it's not like, oh, it's that simple, but it kind of is. Just, I mean, that's where you start at least, but. To keep on they just keep doing the same kind of thing. I'm just like, I always fall into rabbit holes. I'm just looking at just like with the UN itself, their missions. It seems like with every quote mission that they go into, there's always a scandal. And again, going back to the point, I wonder how many other scandals are going on there every day that people just don't know about. I feel like people don't really pay a ton of attention to the UN.
Don't forget the CIA and FBI all had similar scandals like this also.
Oh yeah.
True.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
It's
Yeah.
everywhere. Every agency, pretty much.
It is quite insidious, to be honest. It's like, I mean, now it's like even more covert too, because like I'm sure I've talked to Allie about this a bunch, but even like with like people talk about Epstein and whatever, right? But it's like Epstein funded a lab in Ethiopia, in Sheba Valley, which is like the Silicon Valley of Ethiopia, and it's called the ICOG Labs, and I guess it's his foundation or whatever. He funded it several years ago before he passed away, and or was killed or whatever, disappeared. I don't know what happened to him. Whatever happened to him. So he funded this lab, right? And Ben Goertzel is like the main advisor at that lab. And like just recently, like so he knows Ben Goertzel, right? That's his boy. And he funded the lab, and Ben Goertzel was like the main science advisor there. And then now Ben Goertzel and Singularity, who's also head of Singularity Net, they kind of they did partner with Cardano, and Cardano is registering 5 million Ethiopian kids onto their blockchain. So it's like there's so many like really ugly layers to it, and it just gets weird. The more you I guess, peel the onion,
the weirder you look into it.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like even places where you don't even think that it's like, okay, they're registering these kids on the blockchain for their education to track them, for the rest of their lives. Okay, and then it's also going to go feed this like, AI or whatever that's being built or, being researched, what have you, in this lab in Ethiopia that was funded by Jeffrey Epstein. Okay, that's normal. Sure. Like, what is that? Like, and then I don't know. It just gets really gross and creepy.
Yeah, like you feel very unsettled. I mean, which is, I would say, natural. You feel more, the more you read, the more you see research, the more unsettling it is, especially with groups like the UN. I don't know why, just always with this vibe. Those, those blue helmets they wear. I just like have these like images in my head of just them going into different villages, and it's a sinking feeling, I would say, that I see. And I'm, of course, with all things, they're well-meaning people, but I've got to wonder, you can mean well, but at what point do you kind of look around and be like, hey, maybe this isn't the way forward? I don't know. Why is there a need for peacekeeping missions in the first place? I mean, like on a large scale, I would say. There's, again, nuances, but but
like, why is there like a peacekeeping mission from Luxembourg in you know what I mean, in Chad, like or in like Niger, or it's like it doesn't make any sense. Like the people can do it themselves. Like it's fine. You don't need to be from Holland in order to keep peace. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like Jesus fucking Christ.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, those are the people that are tasked to keep peace.
Yeah.
Okay. It's odd.
Peacekeeping.
Pretty sure there's people around there that can do it as well. It's like
like people have like their own countries should be able to decide what they like, and not through typically Western backed leaders. Let's say in that case, like people are like, well, yeah, now we're giving them democracy and freedom. It's like
Allie, when you said blue helmets, that reminded me of the white helmets and all the peacekeeping that they did in Syria. And then, so great at their propaganda that they won an Oscar. That was really special, that event.
I missed that. Yeah. They won
an Oscar for Best Documentary Short, I believe. I'm going to make sure of that.
Well, tell me the name on that one, because I didn't know that.
Wow.
White Helmets is the name of it. It's from Netflix. It was on Netflix. And I don't really blame Netflix. I know people like to blame it for like content and everything. I feel like it's kind of an aggregate. You go there and you see certain things, and you either see something good or you don't, but it's like a marketplace. Like I feel like it's not completely, at that point anyway, it wasn't completely taken over. But now, it's probably closer to like, government controlled now. Won Best Documentary Short Subject at the 89th Annual Academy Awards. for the Syrian Civil Defense, which is the White Helmets. And the name of the film was The White Helmets from Britain. Again, they're located in Britain, but they will help you in Syria. You know,
well, the White Helmets are funded by Chemonics as well. And Chemonics is like Thurston Steele is what was the head of Chemonics, or he started Chemonics. And he was like an original U.S. aid, like Afghanistan back in the 70s through the agriculture sector, like regime change, just all that like creepy shit. So like that's who funded the White Helmets. So it's like, I don't know. It's just, you know, it is interesting. It's very incestuous as far as like all these people go, because you can trace it back to the same like lines, whether it be like through money or blood or whatever. It's interesting. All the way back to Rome, if you wanted to, as Marcus, I'm sure, knows.
I'm looking at the White Helmets website. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, you can.
Oh, no. I was just going to mention the Syrian Observatory for Human Rights is also an organization that is located in the UK and tells a lot of what's going on with the Syrians in the civil war. What they call the civil war, which is, you know, that's what they call it. I won't say anymore.
When the bombs rain down, the White Helmets rush in. I'm looking at their website. Lovely marketing campaign. Okay, I'm done. I'm just rambling. But yeah, that's pretty creepy.
Sorry, I got a little delay. If you guys be in there again. Sorry.
What's up?
Yeah. I was wondering, what about infrastructure? What are our thoughts on the infrastructure bill? Because
I could tell you what's in it.
We just had the infrastructure bill go down.
Wait, hang on, L. You read all 2,000 pages of that?
Hell no.
Infrastructure bill?
Not even Congress bill. No.
Okay.
I read a summary and I have the PDF as well.
Okay.
I found it. I had to look for it real hard.
Did. I mean,
it was really hard to find. I had to go through different holes to find it on the internet.
So we've been going through it, and yeah, Shadow Band Refugee. He's been all over it too.
Yeah,
it's really, yeah. I mean, that's not a great time reading that, but right when that came out, I was like, oh, okay, because it's of course just them laying the groundwork on top of groundwork that's already been laid for this ongoing project to reimagine society, if you will.
To solidify the public-private partnership and surveillance, biosecurity surveillance through the infrastructure, right? Build back better, including you and your DNA. That's also going to be built back better.
Yeah.
God, I hate that term.
I know. Me too.
I was going to mention that. I saw a clip from our generous ruler in office, and he made some comments that were interesting. I'm getting the link, and I'm going to play the audio if that's okay. I'm sure you guys saw this.
Yeah, sure.
When they were talking about it. I'm putting it in my phone, and I'm not copying and pasting it. So I think that's a 7. Sure. 0. No, that's an O. Yep. P. I hate links. Oh my gosh, this is annoying. This is the old-fashioned way you do it, though.
I know, and when it's you're live and you're trying to do everything, and it's just
Is it an O? Is it a 0? We don't know. We'll find out. Okay, where am I at? 112. Okay, let's go. Shut up. Shut up. Okay. Just start talking before I was ready. Okay. Because it's a whole report. We don't want to hear the reporters. Shut up. I forgot her name. Jayapal, yeah.
Oh.
Go away. Yeah, we'll compromise. Don't worry about it. You always do. Why would you not start now? Okay, here he is. Hold on, let me go back. I'll go.
It's going to be a lesser period of time.
Democratic infighting over the size and scope of the bill is putting the president's domestic agenda at risk.
It doesn't matter whether it's in 6 minutes, 6 days, or 6 weeks. We're going to get it done.
And has
Okay, so like 666, are they trying to troll or what? Like, what is that? And then people already have like a hashtag. I found a hashtag by looking for it. Build Back Better with sixes. 6 ild, 6 ack.
Which is definitely some esoteric, like,
Yeah,
undertones. I'm
It's
sure
a
they do it
little
on
weird.
purpose. I mean, they can't.
Don't
I'm pretty
go-
sure they do it on purpose because it's too obvious sometimes. Where it's like, okay, like what Greek mythology or like what, you know, what are you referencing right now?
And then recently they had this thing at the top of Twitter with the propaganda tab saying, oh shit, I already forgot what it was. I was going to mention, autism. Like, why are all these women being, diagnosed with autism? And they're trying to get a reaction of, what they consider to be the people who have that view that I don't agree with in any way, shape, or form and don't have any evidence. And I said that on my podcast. I really mean that about the links between that and something else that they want to talk about all the time that we won't mention. But, that's the reaction they're trying to get with that kind of, bait. Like they put it as bait. Like they changed the headline too. Like on the, propaganda tab that they have a story made up for the moment, and they made up a story with that would get more people to be like, oh, I'm going to talk about this. They're trying us really hard right now. And Build Back Better is a WEF phrase as well. So, and
Kelly's background is also correct.
Yeah. And exactly. I'm agreeing with her right now. It's so many different countries have used this same terminology. It can't be just, coincidence, parallel thinking.
Sorry, I feel because the longest time when I saw that, I was like, hi, anybody see his slogan? Like it's a quick search and you can see the origins of it. And it's essentially, it outlines rebuilding after a disaster or some kind of crisis.
That,
I just had to add that in there.
It was not foretold at all, this crisis, and there wasn't a book about the Great Reset. It's all part of our imaginations, our collective imaginations. So,
just made it up.
Yes.
We're just
so
too hard.
I know.
For viewing
we have to create so many problems. We don't have enough problems. We have to create more.
Well, how else are you going to make money? You have to create the problems, and then you have to fix it and charge people.
Exactly.
And then
you come in and save the day. That's what you do. That's the American way. And the Australian way.
I created the problem to be paid
I don't even think it's necessarily American. I think it's just like a weird energy and
no, I know.
global
I was
energy.
going
Yeah. No. I understand what you're saying.
Australia and German and all of that, now even. So, and for a little while, Russian way. I mean, I don't really know
those countries are all very much, I mean, I know there's like a certain rivalry or whatever that is kind of in the, I guess, the outward facade, but a lot of them are very much in line as far as what they want to do. They might have, of course, there's different countries with, different countries have different factions. So I'm not saying that like everybody's a monolith, but as far as like the upper echelon, like the brass goes, like, I don't care what where you are or how opposition you are to the NATO or whatever. If you look at the fine print of what they're doing, it's very much aligned with the Fourth Industrial Revolution or whatever you want to call it. Yeah. So it's just because sometimes people get like bogged down with like but Cuba's doing this, or like Russia's not that bad, or China's this and that. And it's like, all right, well, let's talk about the details. So
it's not even like they don't even hate each other. They work together all the time for different things and in space and stuff, like with Russia and US space station.
Well, I mean, the space thing is like, that's surveillance. Sorry, like, but that's like, that has to do with like their satellites that they're putting up there that will be used for surveillance. The military.
Surveillance is for everyone. We're going to share all this technology and, get in on the action. And our benevolent leader, President Biden, he likes to brag every once in a while that he wrote the beginning of the Patriot Act in 1990 something. I'm not even going to say when. I think it was 94, but I don't want to say the wrong thing. But he said that, and so we should thank him for all of this surveillance. What's that?
Oh, I said, why would you even brag about that?
Yeah. He has to have the credit. Like, some people need the credit. He plagiarized so much, he wanted to be known for something.
He probably thinks he's doing the right thing, which is, well, I shouldn't say that, but I guess like it would play to his, you know, if you look back at his videos of what he said throughout his whole career, there's this kind of fixation on being a part of this group that, you know, like we did it, we worked together, we reached across the aisle, that kind of vibe is what I get.
Yeah.
That whole let's all get along.
My good friend on the other side of the aisle.
Yeah, let's all get along, but let's not ask any real fucking questions. Like, let's all get along, but like we don't even agree on like fundamental principles and shit. Like, get at it. You know what I mean? It's like
let's all get along.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I'm working with Republicans. I'm working with Democrats. Like, which ones? What are they about?
Yeah,
like, give me a fucking break. Like, I don't care about like you're working with like we work with the liberals, conservative. I don't care. Like, who are they?
Good job.
You know, like.
And what are they putting through? Like, do they even read what they're putting through? There's like 1,000 pages, 5,000 pages. The last bill that was really like in the news that had to do with the situation we're in, the pandemic, you know, and assistance and a budget. Like, you read this stuff and it has the dumbest stuff in it too. Like, just stuff that, you know, a Democrat just will throw in there just for the hell of it to waste up paper. That's what they're doing with the stupid things that don't go anywhere and get thrown out of the bill in the next go round. Looking at it, it's such a waste of paper. And these are the people concerned about climate change and the environment. It's hilarious to me that they still make 2,000 plus pages of these bills that get torn apart anyway. Like, y'all don't care about the environment. You have John Kerry going on a plane somewhere.
Why, right?
Biden going on a plane somewhere. Shut up.
What?
Well, I
did
mean,
you hear his question?
What were you saying, Mark? Sorry.
No, he was saying, you know why, right?
Oh, sorry. I guess I'll try to chime in when I'm delayed so much. I have like maybe like a 3-second delay. But the reason why these bills are so long is because they don't want anybody to actually read them.
I know.
Right. I suspect that.
Well, they don't even write them though. Like, it's like the lobbyists and special interest groups, like Chamber of Commerce.
Commerce.
I swear. Like,
They need more work to do. We need to give them more to do because they don't do enough for us.
Oh no, but they do plenty for the people that they really work for.
Correct.
Right. The real people, the ones who pay them the real money. That's who they work for. That's who they're covering.
Which, yeah, I mean, that's why, you know, a lot of the times people are like, people will say, well, politicians, you know, they're supposed to work for us. And I find myself becoming less and less patient with that because it's like either, which is it? Do they work for the corporations? Because that's what I'll hear, like, you know, a lot of the times the same criticisms will be from those people, like, they're working for corporations, blah, blah, blah. But then it's like the solution is to get them to work for us. Well, why? What would be the incentive for them to just suddenly drop everything that they're doing and start working for, quote, us? Do we really want those people working for us? I don't think so. I don't want those people to be making decisions.
I honestly don't. Yeah. I'm being facetious, of course.
Oh, yeah.
Because I can't say exactly what I want to say about them. But look at my pinned tweet if you want to know how I feel about anyone in government. On Twitter, of course. That's how I feel. That's like somebody asked me what I thought of something. I was like, check out my pinned tweet. That's what I think of this. Graphene smoothies. I talk about, I mention graphene oxide. It's an interesting article that's in the sources of my episode, YouTube, from Super Awkward Funcast. So I recommend checking that out if you want to have your mind blown about that subject, because it does concern what you think it concerns. I'm not going to say what, but just check it out when you get the chance, guys. All of my sources
graphene's going to
are
be in
there.
everything. Like they're planning on using it for a lot of things. Even Lockheed Martin was the first one that they were using graphene, or when they were first researching graphene for to use it to filter water. So it's like supposed to be in that. They want to use it in like different adjuvants for like different types of for jabs.
That's
right?
what I mentioned.
Yeah.
That's what I was alluding to.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, it's the new silicon.
Purpose.
Mhm.
Yeah. So it's not a conspiracy
No.
theory. It's a reality that could be be people conspiring. We don't know. So I would imagine it's some kind of organization of people getting together and doing this kind of research as they do. Different organizations alongside each other, with Merck and Pfizer right now.
World Economic Forum mentioned graphene when they talked about the emerging technologies and stuff, and they were talking about 2D materials, and they mentioned it was on their 2016 like emerging technologies issue or something like that. So it's not like they don't talk about, you know what I mean?
Yep.
It's right out of the fourth industrial revolution. Wait, I haven't been on like a stream in a minute. Am I allowed to say that? Am I gonna get you guys in trouble? I don't know what, because you're very reserved. I don't know what, since this week everybody's telling me that they did another mass thing on YouTube. So seriously, cut me off if I talk.
Oh, you mean Purge? You're talking about the Purge
yes.
Check out my
specific people who
that.
The purge of specific people that we cannot discuss.
Oh, okay. I'm essentially, it's like as if I've been in a cave the last week. I'm like, oh, I didn't know that happened. Kind of nice, but
you have been in a cave.
I get that, Allie. I understand.
I'm just
Do you guys ever watch? Do you guys ever watch Awaken with JP? Because he's hilarious on this subject.
No.
His satire is really above, top level, top tier. So he had a video about life jackets is what he called it. And it had a whole scenario with somebody who didn't want to wear a life jacket into the pool, and somebody was like, no, you have to do it, you're forced to, we have to have you do that, or you're gonna get this person wet or whatever. I don't know, I don't remember exactly, but you're gonna make him drown if you don't wear your life jacket. He's gonna drown, and then it ends up happening that he drowns aside from that, and then he's blamed for it, but it's actually the fault of the person who's telling him what to do. It's all a metaphor, of course, but it's really, really smart. I really like that episode that he put out a couple of days ago, maybe yesterday. I don't even remember. But I watch his shit all the time. And then Ryan Long, he has some fun stuff, and I hope I don't think they're gonna be affected, because they said in the notice in the blog post. Which, by the way, who goes to blog.youtube? Not me. And I'm I used to be a partner, but when they didn't care about the rules, because I didn't have enough subscribers, still don't, or views. But they one day just said, okay, you're a Google partner. I'm like, sweet, I can monetize stuff. I got 10 cents that I never saw. Great. So anyway, they don't even notify you. They didn't even notify me in an email, is what I wanted to say. You'd think that would be enough important information for a content creator, but no, they didn't send me anything. I had to find it in an article about the ban and then read it there. But it is on the show notes of my episode, and I read the whole fucking thing for you, so you don't have to. But it's insane. It's okay, the corporate people are fine. You can say whatever you want. But the other people, we're not going to have you say that anymore. And then it's really going after some weird conspiracy theories that aren't even a thing anymore. So it's clearly been in the works for a long time, from what I've gathered. I hope I wasn't supposed. I hope I'm not going to get in trouble for mentioning it. But you did send that to. You did put that online for people to read, YouTube. So you shouldn't be upset if people mention it. I love it. I think it's beautiful. I think it's great. Anti-vaxxers are the worst. And let's move on. Good job.
You mean
YouTube.
anti-science people?
Get rid of Ron Paul. We hate Ron Paul Institute.
Wait.
Ron Paul was the biggest problem in YouTube.
Yeah, they do. They yanked Ron Paul. I remember
Just one
that.
of his secondary channels.
Wait, they
His
did?
secondary
The whole channel?
A
Yeah, they
backup
did. They
channel.
Not his
yanked him
main.
on,
I think not his main one though, right? I think it was his.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah.
It was the other one, and it
No.
was just a mistake on their part. Don't worry about it. They make mistakes all the time. They accidentally pull this person's channel, this person's, and then they make you look stupid online when you complain about it on Twitter. And then they're like, "Oh, let me check that. Oh, it was a mistake." And then somebody like in the replies there was like, "You should take this. You should delete this now." And you're just trying to do clickbait, like just because they resolved the issue. Hilarious.
I don't know where Marcus gone. Sorry, I just realized.
Well, he was having trouble, so I'm not surprised.
Yeah, he's
he
having-
left.
Maybe he might be rebooting.
Yeah, he's probably starting
Just
over.
rebooting. Well, before he gets back, really quick, because I don't want to forget, I just noticed an RSFO posted a link, the Syrian Network for Human Rights. I'm sorry to like kind of hijack, but I just don't.
No, I just
don't
saw
know
it
anything. Oh, you did? Yeah. Do you?
Yeah.
I do not really know anything about this. Do you?
No, not
guys-
about this organization specifically.
No, I
Me
don't
either. So now I'm
We're good.
looking at this. I'm hoping he will. He asked me to mention it, but
I think they
I'm
keep
not
track of
sure.
like casualties, from what I can see.
I
think they keep track of
record of
casualties.
enforced disappearances. 102,000. Jesus. At least 102,000 essentially are forcibly disappeared at the hands of parties to the conflict and the controlling forces in Syria,
Yeah.
having been arrested between March 2011 and 2021. Oh, this is interesting. They say like this. It's by like the Syrian regime forces, ISIS, Armed Opposition, Syrian National Army, SDF.
He said that the founder of it was
Kelly,
once
you
on
are-
RT. So
Oh,
Kelly, you are
okay.
correct. It really does suck that we can't chat freely and have to censor ourselves. We do need something. We do need our own internet, something for ourselves, because
Well, internet was supposed to be a
Really?
military device in the first place, so it's not really even for us in the beginning. It just ended up that way because propaganda was easier to spread online.
yeah.
Am I still behind?
No, we can hear you.
Yeah.
no, you got it. You're good.
Oh goodness, yeah. I had to. I was like, this delay is just super behind. I'm just gonna have to go out and come back in and try it. I mean, I have like full signal, so I don't get why it was so bad. But yes, carry on. Sorry for interrupting.
No, you're just finishing subject talk. Oh, I didn't get around to the infrastructure situation.
Yeah, that's what I was. Yeah, sorry.
I found
No, I
like
was going to ask about that.
I found
Because we
something
still
on the
got the
house.gov website.
Yeah, we still got the infrastructure to get into, and then I guess I'll carefully talk about the Gavin Newsom thing and the Kathy Hochul, or however you say that woman's name, who basically sounds like a fucking cult member. The way she was talking the other day. Yeah, I would like to. Yeah, if you could bring up that clip, I would like you to play those that one also. And once we get on those subjects. But yeah, let's get back to infrastructure.
Okay. I'm gonna share it in the chat for you guys.
I guess.
Okay, what are you sharing this time, Al?
Oh no, not in the chat. In the real chat. Not the private chat. Public chat for the lovely audience. Okay,
Gotcha.
for this, I found this looking for the actual bill, and I ended up with a summary, and I was like, all right, that'll do. That's easier to read. Education and labor, I guess it is, section by section, House Committee on Education and Labor. So that's what this concerns in terms of the infrastructure. This is where the money, oh my gosh, that's a shitload of money. This is where the money is going for education, if you're wondering, and labor. Very important issues. So it says the reconciliation section by section, subtitle A, education matters. Part 1, Department of Education, because they need more money. Not mine. I'm not going to give them my money, but they can have my money from before that they collected during the tax season of this year and give it to them in this big bill. That's fine, I guess. But they won't be getting their loan money anytime soon. So that'll have to hold them over. So anyway, Section 2001, Elementary and Secondary School Emergency Relief Fund. So that's going to provide $128 billion, $554,800,000 for grants to state educational agencies, with 90% allocated to local education agencies to be made in accordance with the same terms and conditions applicable to funds provided in fiscal year 2021 for the Elementary and Secondary School Emergency Relief Fund of the Education Stabilization Fund. I didn't even know that existed until now, so that's fun. You learn so much from these documents. I'm not going to go into detail on them because I will die of boredom, and you will probably die with me of boredom and nothing else. It's a joke.
From the bill will kill you.
It might hurt you enough to make you fall asleep and not wake up. So here we go. Section 2002, Higher Education Emergency Relief Fund, provides $39,584,570,000 for grants to institutions of higher education to be made in accordance with same terms and conditions applicable to funds provided in fiscal year 2021 for Higher Education Emergency Relief Fund, HERF, of the Education Stabilization Fund. Public and private non-profit institutions receiving new HEERF allocations will be required to spend at least 50% of such allocations on emergency, at least 50% on emergency financial and grants to students, while for-profit institutions receiving allocations and institutions receiving allocations due to the I'm already going to yawn. Enrollment of students enrolled exclusively online will have to spend 100% of such allocations on student aid. Interesting. Do they expect there to be a lot of students online soon? That's interesting. I had to point that out because 100 versus 50. Interesting. Institutions are required to use a portion of the institutional share of new allocations to implement evidence-based practices to mitigate COVID and conduct outreach to students regarding the opportunity to receive a financial aid adjustment due to the recent unemployment of a family member or other changes in financial circumstances. Restrictions that were applied exclusively to institutions subject to the endowment tax in the previous Higher Education Emergency Relief Fund will not apply to new allocations under this section. The share of funds for for-profit institutions is reduced from 3% to 1%, with the difference reinvested in funds for institutions as defined in Section 101 of the Higher Education Act. The share of funds for historically Black colleges and universities, tribal colleges and universities, minority-serving institutions, and other under-resourced institutions is unchanged at 7.5%. Similarly, the share of funds for institutions with the greatest unmet needs related to coronavirus is unchanged at 0.5%. Okay. Section 2003, Maintenance of Effort and Maintenance of Equity. They keep using this word equity in these documents, which is interesting. It's gone from equality to equity recently. You guys notice that? They say equity.
They mean when they say equity, they actually are using it in the financial way, where you're like an asset. So it's not so much equity in like equality of like access to resources. It's more like equity as in like, we're going to be your human capital now. Like this is what you are.
You see what they do there with the words? You see what they do there?
Yeah.
People just
They like to
hear it,
change
like,
the words
great.
they use.
Oh yeah.
This one requires each state receiving funds under the Elementary and Secondary School Emergency Relief Fund to maintain spending in fiscal year 2022 and 2023 on elementary and secondary education and on higher education, at least at the proportionate levels of the state's spending on those categories relative to the state's overall spending, averaged over fiscal years 2017, 2018, and 2019. The Secretary of Education may waive maintenance of effort requirements for the purpose of relieving fiscal burdens incurred by states in preventing, preparing for, and responding to the corona. This section also includes fiscal equity guardrails to prevent state budget cuts from disproportionately impacting high poverty school districts and low-income students. This section prohibits state educational agencies from cutting per pupil spending on high poverty local education agencies at a rate steeper than overall cuts in per pupil. That is correct. It is per pupil spending on high poverty local agencies. SEAs are further prohibited from reducing funding for the 20% of LEAs with the highest. See, they're just these categories now, with the highest percentage of economically disadvantaged students below the level of funding provided to those LEAs in fiscal year 2019. Lastly, LEAs are prohibited from cutting per pupil spending on any high poverty school at a rate. How about we get rid of the poverty? There's an idea with this bill. How about we not have high poverty schools? Just an idea, just throwing it out there into the universe.
But then how will you make money off of poverty if you fix it?
Unbelievable.
And then there's different levels of poverty. Like, there's different levels of poverty. They solve extreme poverty, right?
I know.
So,
oh,
there's an extreme version of it, not poverty, just extreme poverty. You know, they put
high
like a buzzword. Yeah,
low
high
income,
poverty.
high poverty.
You know,
They don't make enough money. They don't eat enough food. We gotta give them education and not food and not money. More education from people who are not who are educating with limited resources already, you know, in these neighborhoods, in these schools in the first place. And I don't see anything so like specific here. Again, it is a summary, but it's very vague to me and doesn't go into the specifics of what they're actually getting from this billions and billions of dollars. Then there's section 2004, outlying areas, provides $850 million for grants to the outlying areas, wherever the fuck that is and whatever the fuck that is. It doesn't say. Oh, okay. Section 2005, Bureau of Indian Education provides $850 million for grants to Bureau of Indian Education operated and funded elementary and secondary schools and tribal colleges or universities. Then there's the specific one, Gallaudet University provides $19,250,000. What's that? Deaf school. Yeah, it says deaf. The Kendall Demonstration Elementary School, the Model Secondary School for the Deaf, and Gallaudet University. And then there's Student Aid Administration in 2007 provides $91,130,000 for student aid administration within the Department of Education to prevent, prepare for, and respond to corona domestically and internationally, including direct outreach to students and borrowers about financial aid, economic impacts, payments, means-tested benefits, and tax benefits for which they may be eligible. Or, you know, you could actually just, you know, cancel the debt for students worldwide, across the nation, instead of doing this incremental, you know, Department of Education is going to help you figure out how to do this, even though you don't have any money.
Hell, I had a question for you. Well, I had a question for you. When you brought up the Department of Education, how did you feel about the student, the 5.6 million student loan accounts being transferred from, I think it's from Navient to Maximus. Is that what it's called? Maximus.
Oh, really? We've been transferred again. Fun. I love it.
Right.
Did not
Right.
get
I was
notification.
That's right.
First
Fun.
Sally Mae, now this.
That's transferred. Right. Sally Mae to Navient to Maximus.
Okay,
remember.
fine. Just try to take my money in January. That's fine. It's not going to happen, but you can try. I used to have what did I have? I don't know basically I didn't pay anything per month. And then like there was like interest until they got rid of interest for a little while for Corona. But I didn't pay anything. Income-based nope. Income-based, the one, repayment.
Yeah.
Income-based repayment.
Yeah, income-based
Yeah.
repayment.
So I have no money, so you're getting $0 this month and next month, and this is what's going to happen. So that was so weird to me. And then they were going to start charging me before the pandemic. And then right after that started, they were like, oops, never mind. And I was also going to get charged extra for like fees for the place that I live, where I rent an apartment. And that went away as well during the Corona. So thanks, Corona, I guess, for that respite for both of those counts. Anyway, yeah, they really care about us. They're gonna put us all in. We're all in good hands right now, and they're giving all the money where it needs to go, and it's all gonna come back to us. Trickle down. That's what's gonna happen. Oh my God, you got it. You got to have National Endowment for the Arts in here. Of course, that comes up next. Oh my gosh! But before that is Howard University gets $35 million, so less than. I'm just counting. The Bureau of Indian Education. Interesting. Okay, and then National Technical Institute for the Deaf, not death. My gosh, $19,250,000. And then Institute of Education Sciences gets $100 million, and then to study learning loss. And then the program administration provides They provide $15 million for program administration within the Department of Education to prevent, prepare for, and respond to Corona domestically, internationally, and for salaries and expenses necessary to implement this part. So we got to get $15 million to the administration, of course. Because they're doing such a wonderful bang-up job at the Department of Education. And everybody loves them so much, and they want to see them thrive financially. Office of Inspector General.
See another yacht in their future.
Is that the comptroller?
The Inspector General of the Department of Education. $5 million.
Comptroller.
I'm just waiting.
And then they have the modification of revenue requirements for proprietary institutions of higher education. Modifies the requirement in Section 487 of the Higher Education Act to require proprietary institutions to derive not less than 10% of revenue from funds other than federal education assistance funds, including from the GI Bill. And then Part 2, miscellaneous, is National Endowment for the Arts. They get a whopping $135 million again. They just keep getting more money every fiscal year. Good for them. I'm so happy for them. With 40% of funds reserved for grants to state art agencies and regional art organizations, and 60% of funds reserved for the direct grants that support organizations, programming, and general operating expenses. Then there's the National Endowment for the Humanities. We can't leave them out. They get the same amount for the National Endowment for the Humanities, with 40% of funds reserved for grants to state humanities councils and 60% of funds reserved for direct grants that support humanities organizations, programming, and general operating expenses. Then we got the Institute of Museum and Library Services. They get a whopping $200 million to carry out the Library Service and Technology Act as authorized under Subtitle B of the Museum and Library Services Act, with a minimum allocation of $2 million for each state. Then the COVID-19 response resources for the preservation and maintenance of Native American languages. Gets $10 million for emergency grants to support Native American language preservation and maintenance. Funding will mitigate COVID-related disruptions or threats to Native American languages and the continued vitality of Native American languages during and after the COVID public health emergency.
Mm.
And then they got the labor. So they're raising the federal minimum wage here. I don't know if you guys heard about that.
Are they?
Oh, wait
Somehow
until you
missed that
hear.
part back.
It's going to be incrementalism. We love that. That's the best. So it increases the federal minimum wage for employees from $7.25 per hour to $15 per hour. So on time with that too. By 2025.
By what year?
By 2025.
Oh, wow.
So $9.50 in 2021, $11 in 2022, $12.50 in 2023, $14 in 2024, and $15 in 2025. We did it! Everybody give yourself a round of applause. Great job. Thereafter, annual increases in the wage are indexed to the percentage increase, if any, in the median hourly wages of all employees. Increases the tipped minimum wage from $2.13 to $4.95 in 2021. They don't have to wait very long
They
for that
doubled.
one. For
They
each
put in the
succeeding
double.
year,
They doubled it.
we ain't playing. The tipped minimum wage increases by the lesser of either $2 or the difference between the tipped minimum wage and the wage. Once the tipped minimum wage reaches the wage, the tipped minimum wage is eliminated by stipulating that the tipped minimum wage will be at the other wage. Increases the youth minimum wage, which employers may currently pay to individuals under 20 years of age for the first 90 calendar days of employment, from $4.25 to a whopping $6 in 2021. So we can give them their
So
historical low
sad.
wages. Each subsequent year, the youth subminimum wage increases by the lesser of either $1.75, less than the tipped wage, or the difference between the youth subminimum wage and the regular wage. Once the youth minimum wage reaches the regular wage, the youth subminimum wage is eliminated by stipulating that the youth minimum wage will be at that wage. So it also discontinues the issuance of new certificates while allowing existing 14C certificate holders to continue using their minimum wage certificates for 5 years after enactment. Sets the hourly wage paid to 14C covered employers to at least $5. We did it in 2021. Or if greater, the wage that was paid to the employee before enactment. Each subsequent year, the 14C subminimum wage increases by $2.50. In 2025, if we get that far, the subminimum wage paid to 14C covered employees must be the same as the regular wage, and remaining 14C certificates will have no legal effect. Unless otherwise specified, these amendments to the Fair Labor Standards Act take effect on the first day of the third month that begins after the date of enactment. The effective date for the Commonwealth of the Northern Mariana Islands is 18 months after this general effective date. Then we got the whole funding for U.S. Department of Labor worker protection activities, which is $150 million for the Secretary of Labor to implement COVID worker protection activities across the department, with not less than $75 million provided to the Occupational Safety and Health Administration. OSHA, we love you so much. Thank you so much for your guidance. Oh, I cannot give them enough credit for putting us in this beautiful utopia that we live in now. Thank you so much. And within the allocation, go ahead.
Yeah, I would say, I get the gist of it. Let's see. a little much. It's starting to get a little overwhelming where I'm like, so I got ADHD, so you're losing me right now.
I mean, my mind was blown about the minimum wage. I'm like, you could just pay everybody a living wage, right? But
No, we
then
can't
you
do
couldn't
that.
have all of that right, because you couldn't have all that glorious writing, still screwing everybody over by their petty little incrementalism. Who needs who
Yeah,
needs a living wage? They don't
before we
all
get a
need a
little
living
bit
wage.
too long-winded, I definitely would still want to get into that article that you were talking about, that me and you were talking about before the show, Emmanuel, about what's going on in Canada.
Oh, right. The Canada article. It was basically they imposed a COVID mandate that says they won't serve you inside the restaurant. So people started eating outside the restaurant in protest. So I thought that
Wait,
was pretty
say,
cool.
I'm sorry, one more time. What was that?
Okay, they won't let you eat inside without I think it's like a vaccine mandate or a vaccine, basically, right? So the
Yeah.
so the Canadians in protest brought their own food and started eating outside of the restaurant itself in a form of protest. So I thought that
I
was
didn't.
pretty cool.
Yeah, I
That
mean,
is.
from
Go
the
ahead.
images that I saw, it looked crazy. I mean, it was literally like hundreds and hundreds of people, literally just sitting
Hmm.
outside, Indian style, like little kids at daycare, all just sitting out on the sidewalk eating their food, in protest. I mean, I get it. I guess you have to be creative, in your different
Right
ways of
now, yeah, you have to be
protesting,
very creative
but
to do it.
I think that it really it definitely got my attention, and definitely Emmanuel's and a bunch of other people. I've noticed that some other countries are starting to do that also. I think I heard that France is also doing that kind of sit out dining protest also outside
Hmm.
of restaurants. I know New York, they've
Elle brought up that
been
it was in
trying to
France.
like go inside of the restaurants and just sit there and demand to be served, without masks. So, um, that's interesting, I guess, to say the least. I wanted to, and that reminds me, going on to New York, the governor of New York. I don't know. Did you guys see? Did you guys see her speech that she had?
No,
No, you
No, I
didn't.
didn't.
I did not. No,
Mm-mm.
I'm gonna be honest with
I
you. I
did
didn't
not
even
either.
know. I didn't even know who the new governor was. That's how good I've been. Or I've
Well,
just been
yeah,
in like a rabbit hole or different silos. What's her name? Kathy.
yeah.
Huh.
It's
Kathy
like Kathy
Hochul.
Hochul. She was
Hochul.
she was she was what's the name? Cuomo's lieutenant governor. In
Ah.
her speech, I guess I'll paraphrase it for time's sake. She said that basically the vaccination was sent by Jesus,
Oh.
and everybody needs
Oh
to
yeah, I remember what you're talking
be
about now. Okay,
disciples.
yes, I saw that.
Yes, they all
He
need to
said
be her disciples
it was ordained
and
by Jesus.
encourage more vaccinations. And so I was like, without going into the whole, how we feel about the vaccinations, just the fact of how creepy it was, how she was trying to compare herself and the vaccination like she was some kind of messiah and trying to round up her disciples. I don't know. It was just kind of creepy, kind of a little David Koresh, if you guys
Oh
remember
my
him.
God, I completely forgot. Oh my God.
Seriously, you guys
Because I
Oh
was
don't
looking
wow.
at it, I thought it was weird. It
It
was
God
weird
was.
that she
wants
I
would
you to
mean,
say it
get the
like that.
stamp.
I mean,
Wow.
I'll have my internet should be all situated on Monday, so I might try to do a video on it. Sorry,
Yeah.
I'm making coffee right now, but I might try to do a
Fine.
little video on it and go into that clip because you guys got to almost see it.
Yeah.
She really creepy the way she did it. And I mean, it even had a lot of people saying, you know, remember how before we were saying that, like, how people were talking about, like, Fauci is like their messiah and Fauci is like the pastor Fauci
Yeah,
in
deified.
the church
Yeah,
of COVID.
you're absolutely right.
And a
Mhm.
lot of it's starting to almost get like some of these people, the vaccinated, I guess we'll call them, they are almost treating this like an actual religion. It's getting weird out there.
Oh yeah.
So what's some of your thoughts on that?
Well,
Jabbing
I'm
for
looking.
Jesus, basically.
She's
Lord.
wow, jabbing.
No
for
pun
Jesus.
intended. Oh, Jesus.
I prefer gays for
Jabbing for
Jesus. Okay.
you know, like save room for Jesus, like
Oh
make room for
man.
Jesus, like jabbing
Wait,
for
it says
Jesus.
I'm reading
That's
this
the
article
corniest thing.
and it said she said, I need you to be my apostles. I need you to go out and talk about it and say
Right.
to each other. We love each other. Jesus taught us to love one another. And how do you show that love? But to care about each other enough to say, please get stamped because I love you and I want you to live. Good Lord. No
Who
pun.
would
I just
Jesus
think of
jab?
Oh my
I
god.
don't
Who would Jesus jab?
yeah, exactly. I don't know. I laugh because it's so horrifying because I don't know what else.
Yeah, it is. It's horrifying.
Me
Let's
being a big
see.
time faith person, I might cover this. You guys should probably, well, once I get my internet situated. That's the reason why I've really slowed on a lot of my streams on this channel, on my Hebrew Apologetics and all that, but I will be getting back to it once I get it all situated. But I definitely will be covering the batshit craziness of this woman on the Hebrew Apologetics one, because as a Bible reader who reads it heavily, she sounded fucking crazy to me.
I can imagine. So that's a bit creepy.
Like, the Bible talks all about faith, 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 faith. Believe, believe, believe. It doesn't say go put your faith into a drug made by man. It literally says put your faith in no man. So she's saying, yes, no, put your faith in these men, Fauci and Tedros and the CDC. Put all your faith in them. Which that's very counter and I can go a lot of ways with that. But for those who are not, in the faith community, I'm not gonna bore you guys into my theology. But she sounded fucking crazy. I'll just say that.
Well, I think that there's a bit of an agenda, of course, to go after the religious community, definitely the church. I mean, just not that they're exactly the same, but even just I remember seeing what was it, like Facebook and their involvement with wanting to go be more involved with churches, and I couldn't help but think that was again part of just as a greater picture of trying to get like there be no separation of any of these things, if that makes sense. Like just different methods that the government's using, and then different quote influencers or private industry, and now clearly the governor of New York getting into the church or any house of religion, because I think that's a way that they want to kind of like try to start subverting those laws that protect quote church and state. So that's interesting to me. Yeah, that's how I kind of
That's
Right.
interesting.
That's
I
what.
didn't even think about it from that angle. I kind of looked at it more from they tried the rock concerts, get jabbed and come to the concerts. They tried people who are potheads or who like to drink, or they tried all these different angles. And I guess
College
like, well,
scholarships, stuff like that. Yeah.
and I can tell you this, for those who aren't familiar with some of this stuff, I'll go into, and you don't have to have the belief, but I'll just kind of give you guys a little basics for those who aren't familiar with some of the faith stuff. A lot of people are looking towards the mark of the beast type stuff. I don't know if you've ever heard of it, and I'm not saying that this is that. I'm just saying that a lot of people are in the faith community are very sketched out about the whole vaccination stuff because of that. And that could be a way that I looked at it. That might be a way that they're trying to weasel their way into that portion of the community. which
Oh,
is
yeah.
not bad.
Yeah, they
Because
are.
I can see that
Mhm.
too, for sure.
Absolutely.
Evangelicals,
Both
Absolutely.
apply.
It's a
that's
big,
part of why they're not
yep.
getting back.
Yeah.
That makes sense because they're doing that with like the transhumanism agenda thing.
Mm-hmm.
Because I saw
Yeah.
Allison McDowell actually put something out about like the Mormon church in Utah and how the guy was talking about how like your digital twin is just like a replica of your soul and like it's a good thing. And because God wants us to have multiple experiences. It was so weird. It was like bastardizing like, and I'm not a religious person or anything, but it was like, I don't know how anyone can listen to this and think that like sounds normal. Like, what the fuck is this guy talking?
I got the
More.
Right.
I have to find the video and I'll send it to the group chat on Twitter.
I got the audio of her talking at the church. If we can play it
Oh yes, play that shit.
for
Roll that
context.
No,
So
play
YouTube
it, please.
understands.
Yeah, so that way it's not the paraphrase of what I'm saying, and just reading the article. I want people to hear her come out of her crazy ass mouth and say what she was saying,
Okay, here she goes.
or Prophet guy's mouth.
Okay, all right.
And what we went through this pandemic made us stronger. I believe that, especially when I talk to young people who weren't able to have their graduations from high school or a normal life for the last 18 months. I say to them, whatever comes your way in life, you are stronger. You are more resilient. God let you survive this pandemic because he wants you to do great things someday. He let you live through this when so many other people did not. And that is also your responsibility. But how do we keep more people alive? We are not through this pandemic. I wished we were, but I prayed a lot to God during this time. And you know what? God did answer our prayers. He made the smartest men and women, the scientists, the doctors, the researchers. He made them come up with a vaccine. That is from God to us.
Praise
and we
him.
must say, thank you, God. Thank you.
Thank you,
I
Pfizer.
wear my vaccinated necklace all the time to say, I'm vaccinated. All of you.
My God.
Yes, I know you're vaccinated. You're the smart ones, but there's people out there who aren't listening to God and what God wants. You know this. You know who they are. I need you to be my apostles. I need you to go out and talk about it and say, we owe this to each other. We love each other.
We love each other.
Jesus taught us to love one another. And how do you show that love? But to care
Jabbing
about
them.
each other enough to say, please get vaccinated because I love you. I want you to live. I want our kids to be safe when they're in schools. I want you to be safe when you go to a doctor's office or to a hospital and are treated by somebody. You don't want to get the virus from them. You're already sick or you wouldn't be there. We have to solve this, my friends. I need every one of you. I need you to let them know that this is how we can fight this pandemic, come back to normal, and then start
There is no
talking about
normal.
the real issues that we have to. Fighting systemic racial injustice.
There it is.
Oh
Oh
my
my
gosh.
gosh.
Oh my
Gotta end
God.
on
The cherry on top.
Okay, you were right. Yeah.
The
Jeez,
cherry on top.
man.
That
Line
is.
items ever again any longer.
Little
That's
does she know the group of people who are most hesitant is who she just mentioned.
Right.
That is sinister to me. That's how I take it.
Right.
Like,
For her to do that, it's just.
what is she, the word of God now? Is she like
She is
what is?
God.
Yeah,
She is
she is
God,
God.
Alex.
Like what is? Who is she to determine who God is for everybody? And then for her to say, the people that aren't listening, go be an apostle. What? I know they're just a lot of this is just pandering, but it's like they're not even they were never great at it. But I mean,
She had to add the
they've
racial
got like the
justice.
D list at this point. I mean, that was just yuck.
Yeah,
That's
This is
creepy.
from woke preacher clips, by the way.
Oh, she
Go
surely
ahead.
would have showed something like. Oh, go ahead.
I just wanted to say the source was woke preacher clips on YouTube. Shout out to them
Woke preacher.
for the clip.
That's I was just laughing at the name of the channel. Like, oh, I didn't even know that there was a niche for that. Okay. Learn
Actress.
something new every day.
I was saying
They have
we-
4,000
we're in the
subscribers.
Matrix
Oh.
version. We're in like Matrix version 666. That's what I would say.
Yeah, I mean, I know a lot of people that think it's the mark of the beast.
I mean, and I understand why they might assume that, because when it talks about the mark of the beast in the Bible, it talks about it goes into a part of not being able to buy or sell and not being able to go into a city and things like that. So I get where they're coming from. I don't believe that's what it is, but I don't disagree that the mark is not too far behind that. In which we've already, I believe the mark. Honestly, I'll just say it. I believe it's the RFID chip. With, you know what? I'll leave it at that. I won't go any further than that. I've already had my little spill on that when I did my when we did the show talking about the RFID chip. But yeah, I'll pass it.
Yeah, I mean, with all the nano stuff that they have, like as far as the advancements that they've made, I don't even think they'll need a chip. They can just have something that you just inhale or whatever, where that, and whether it be for like medical monitoring, right? They're like, oh yeah, like these nano robots can monitor your heart rate or whatever, your insulin level or something like that. It always starts like that, right? And then little by little, it's like
everything
it creeps in. And then you're like in the womb of like the totalitarians.
That quote, I just said that quote, but being in the womb of the totalitarian state. I mean, it really is, and like it really bothered me to go back to the governor. I almost called her the preacher. The governor, she just equating quote the science with God. That kind of speaks to this. What I hear, at least, is that again this like transhumanist kind of thing where I feel like they really just want to merge science and technology with every facet of human life, and part of that human experience, no matter what religion, or if you're not religious, whatever brings you peace, or you find comfort in, it's truly like infiltrating every aspect of that. That's, I think, what's so
sinister.
Yeah.
Right, as a sinister, there's a
literally talks about trying to infiltrate into all of those different areas, whether you're a faith person or not, whether it's Christianity, whether you're into Buddhism, Judaism, whatever your faith is, or lack of faith or non-faith, or whether it's into
like your spirituality, like
whatever it is, to get everybody all part of that new world order, get everybody all on that same on that same goal plan, which the Great Reset is all about. And so, like how we talked about with the last time you and Sebs were on, we talked about with a lot of the computerized stuff, like the police dogs, the surveillance state stuff, the facial recognition, even like the stalkers, the computerized stalkers and stuff like that in the stores, more the automation, just overall, and all of these things, how they all are interwoven. And just because they might do this little portion here or that little portion here, it's because different countries are kind of in different places, and I kind of feel that's where they are with that. Sorry, we lost her.
No, yeah, I agree with you. There, especially like, I don't know, it's kind of freaky with even with the way that they try to make it seem like there's certain adversarial, factions or whatever. But I feel like once you get to the ruling class, or the people, I don't want to call it the ruling class, like the very sinister like oligarchs, they're all friends.
They just started doing 5G on my phone line just last week.
Oh yeah.
I don't think I'm gonna get it, but
yeah, they're rolling that out because they need that 5G for
they do
for whatever they're trying to do for tracking and I guess computing.
That's where I really not that I.
And that's not a conspiracy. Like that's like
no,
like a real,
it's a real thing.
Yeah.
You want to
smart machine age.
If I were an activist leader, which I'm not, I would suggest going to. I'm not saying do anything. I just really want to be careful. But yeah, they're definitely being installed. They have been, and they will be, and they need that. That's what they need. that entire network. So it's like, what are ways to, just the simple installation of that can be installed. So it's like getting to the people that are like just the simple fact of people like installing this stuff. It's like, I wonder if they realize what,
Probably not.
you know what I mean? Probably not.
No, I don't think so.
There's like electricians doing their jobs, It's like they're just like, oh, I just got to put up these towers. And...
right.
Guy who was working on the RFID chip, he said that he said that he had no kind of knowledge or at all or any kind of correlation of even remotely of anything being to any kind of biblical prophecy or anything like that. So he was like, I was just working on the microchip. I didn't really think of it as anything nefarious. And that's like
who's funding your research? You know what I mean? Like, what do you think they're going to use it for?
Right.
Sorry.
Who funded it?
Yeah,
who allowed you to do
and like
it?
when you have Ford Foundation, like, and all these people.
But Sebs, it's just like when I was in the military.
You're right.
A lot of people in the military are completely compartmentalized. And so you're working on just your sole tunnel vision on what you're doing only.
You're in a
you
silo.
Don't realize what the other people around you are doing, and all of these things as they come together, then they start to, it manifests that overall, negative direction they're leading into. But because a lot of times you're so tunnel vision on, well, I'm just protecting, my brethren and my people around me. I'm just making sure we all get home safe. You're not even thinking about the harm and negativity that you're actually doing.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
That's how I feel like, to be honest, I don't have the answers to things, but it's like thinking of ways to at least attempt to prevent this or combat it or something. It's just getting into these different silos and having people understand like, oh, this is how my industry is contributing to this. I feel like that's just my opinion, but a way to get people more up to speed. I don't know, instead of like relying, not saying that any of you are, but just there's this general notion still of like, well, if we just get this person in charge, then they'll stop it. Like, no, it's so much. It's not one person. It's not one organization. It's the whole thing, the whole structure, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, that goes back to like some of where I feel like I'm a little bit different with how I view some of these topics than some of the other platforms. Not that I have any kind of angst against any of these other independent content creators out there.
Yeah.
And I hope when I say this part, certain platforms won't think I'm trying to diss them in any kind of way. But people, like, for instance, who will focus mainly on whistleblowers. Whistleblowers are important, yes, but they're focusing so heavily on what they're doing to whistleblowers. You're missing what they're doing over here on the automation side. You're missing what they're doing over here as far as their relief work, aid work in these countries. You're missing what they're doing as far as genocides over here. You're missing so many things. And I look at it as these are all symptoms of a much larger thing that's going on. It's not. It's almost like there's a cancer that's going on, and everybody's focused on, well, that cancer caused, some loss of hair, or it caused, your fingernails to get a little brittle, or it caused, for you to get a little faint. And everybody's focusing on all these symptoms without focusing on what is the root cause that's causing all these things to happen.
Oh, I think that's totally important, is getting to the root of it, which it's not like it's a simple root either, but
it's not.
No. But no, I don't think I don't think that should be taken as a slight. Everybody has, I suppose, their niche or their interest, but it, I would say it becomes, it can become questionable when then more and more information is presented
available.
And it's like, yeah. And then
but you
like,
stick on the old premise that it's like, yeah, regardless of new information.
That's all, really. Just give it a look,
I agree with you, Marcus, because I feel that way too, to be honest. Like, just because, and not to say like one issue is more important than the other or whatever. Like, whatever is important to you, like if you're fighting for it and you're doing it in like a righteous way, whatever, you have a reason for it, like you mean well, then it's fine. Like I don't have an issue with that. But it is the hyper focus that is kind of like, so this is, it's just it's like why is this the only thing? And then I guess people can say the same thing to me about, like, I know Matt Hunter likes to say, you know, like, she just wants to talk about those poor kids in Africa. Why don't you go live there? You know, it's like, so I'm sure that maybe I can be kind of annoying when I like bring that stuff up too. So I try to be a little bit sensitive. I'm trying to be more sensitive. I haven't been that sensitive in the past.
Remember what I said? I'm gonna jump in and defend you, whether you want it or not.
Yeah, go ahead.
When we start talking about a lot of the things which happen in Africa, they don't get covered, period, by virtually any. So you need to have somebody there who is hard charging and talking about these issues. We got how many channels are out there talking about Julian Assange and Commander X? How many of them are out there talking about whatever Pelosi and AOC do? How many of them are actually? How many of them are out there talking about Afghanistan? How many are talking about Syria? How many are talking about Israel? How many are talking? There's so many that are talking about all these things, but there is nobody who's really talking about, especially from the American side, what's going on in the continent of Africa.
No, they don't.
A lot of these, I only hear it from you and one other source, which would be Tedros Finker-Mariam. You sure are the only sources that I feel like that are credible, knowledgeable sources that talk about this. So I don't want you to take. I want you to be hyper focused on that. We don't need 300 Assange channels. No offense to anybody. I mean, but that's important.
No, I know what you're saying.
There are so many subjects that no coverage at all. I mean,
oh no, trust me, I've been bitching about this.
That's why I'm laughing.
For example, the kidnapping and now murder of the young lady who died at the hands of her fiance.
Oh yeah.
Well, at the same time, how many Native American and minority women who are missing all the time, and we never hear anything about it. That's just why, like, for instance, I used to hate fucking I hate that bitch with a passion because
Candace?
I watched her show. Oh, I didn't watch her show. Lauren and I dated. Watched her show for years. And all they talked about was white women between a certain demographic. And here's the thing about it. It's not even just only on a race thing. What about white women who might be overweight? What about white women who might be not attractive? What about white women who might be in their 60s and 70s who go missing? She only talks about white women from like 20 to about 50 demographic who are reasonably attractive for the media, and everybody else, fuck them. What about men who are missing? Yeah. What about people's sons that are missing? It's only white women within a certain demographic, typically happen to be blonde, who she always talks about, and the media loves to hyper focus on only certain groups of people.
I mean, I think they do that on purpose. They know that it's a divisive like tactic, and Candace herself. I mean, to me, she seems like kind of a scam artist. Like I don't think she actually means anything that she says.
Like she actually doesn't believe it, and she's just
because it's too ridiculous. She was talking about reparations for slave owners who lost. I'm like, what? Because at a certain point, you just got to be like, you know what? This is a parody. Like this is Auntie Ruckus. You know, like you are.
That's it. Who got it?
A huckstress, if you will. I don't.
She is. She's a huckstress. Okay, get out of here. She is. She's horrible.
The first time, yeah. Go ahead.
I mean, what's his name? Larry Elder.
Yes.
He was literally talking about reparations. Like,
yeah, that's who she was talking about.
They were talking to each other then, right? That conversation. They were talking to each other about it.
She was like, "How about the people who lost money?"
And I'm curious if, like, when Candace came out, it was like a grip from the start, because I remember hearing her speak. I think it was in Congress. I don't remember what it was about, but it was to a committee, and she told this story about her grandfather. I don't remember.
It was
if
like
he
a
there or not.
sharecropper. Yeah.
Yeah, something like that. He was there, I believe, and she was talking about his experiences, and I was like, okay, I never heard of her before, and so I was kind of like, huh, that's interesting. And the more I look into her, I was like, oh, you hang out like just seeing the crowd. It was like, okay, you have a brand too. It's just like, where does that line? Where do you cross that line from being quote different to it becoming your brand, and then like you just roll it with it? Because I've heard like lately stuff I've heard. I'm like, girl, what? You are just, a bit of a huckstress.
Yeah, she's a huckstress for sure.
That right?
Right. Thank
create
you, Chris. That's right.
Yeah,
That's right.
I thought I assumed foolishly at first. I was like, oh, she's just open to talking about something outside of the whatever she's been pigeonholed into, and I was like, oh no, this is kind of a grift. I don't like to use that word much, but it kind of seems that way. But yeah, there, just to like bring it back, there are tons of channels that. Oh, go ahead.
I gotta nip this shit in the butt right here,
Lord.
Brian. I don't give a damn. This isn't even about the Israel or Zionist stuff. Larry Elder is a piece of shit in every fucking way. So it doesn't matter if you might agree with him on one or two issues. He's a piece of shit. Period. End of story. Zionist or not, he's a piece of shit.
Oh, Brandon Tatum. I was just looking at the chat. Yeah, that whole crew.
Forgive a ruckus, sell out like him any credit for anything.
Auntie and Uncle Ruckus had a podcast.
Exchange of ideas.
Yeah,
melding of the mind.
A new term. You guys are welcome.
Just sips his coffee.
Yeah, no, it's pretty bad. I mean, this is another thing though, like with the people who do say, like, and this is this is an issue or like something that I've been annoyed with for the last couple of weeks, specifically dealing with Tulsi Gabbard. Sorry, I'm gonna bring it up because
bring it up.
She's over because she's
right. I wanted to know who would bring that up.
Yeah, well, it's me. I will be the one. I just think it's interesting, and it's not so much about like that the people that did support her or whatever need to like come out and like start denouncing her, cancel Tulsi. No, it's not about that at all, right? It's more about the fact that she is literally telling you on Fox News that she has been working in the Civil Affairs and Psychological Operations Command, helping special forces, and that normally just means there's only 3 groups that do special ops, and I'm sure you know this, Marcus. I'm not a military expert, but I do know a little bit. And it's literally the special forces, the Army Delta Force, there's Green Berets, and then there's Navy SEALs. So like she's over there helping freaking special forces she said in Africa, undisclosed place in Africa, doing fighting jihadists, essentially with targeted airstrikes. So she's against the occupation of Syria, and she's against that. She wants everybody to get out of Iraq and whatever, and she says all these other things, right? But she's like, oh, but the jihadists in Africa, though. Like, what does that mean?
Right.
Like, why is it that the logic changes here?
Right, exactly.
And why is it that the people who did support her, who do cover these issues or whatever, and especially some of the bigger ones, why do they have nothing to say about it? Like, are you kidding me? Are you fucking, like, I do take me for an idiot. Like, because if you know what's up, like, what is it?
What is anti-war? Oh no, she's anti-imperialist. The words that she's used, like looking back, like it's like, oh, so you're just against that type of war. It's not all war, because you literally just said you got back from Africa. Like it was just a casual trip with the girls.
Yeah,
like,
and then you said,
like what were you doing there? And more importantly, why? Like you said, we're just not going to talk about it. Silence, even if you were close with her.
Yeah. Because I'm pretty sure the energy, I'm sorry, but like the energy would be totally different if she was saying this about a place in South America or Central America. Like, give me a fucking break. Like, I know, because the motherfuckers who are being silent right now, like, I'm certain your ass would have something to say if she was talking about another place. So give me, but because she said Africa is this vague place, you want to be all quiet. Yeah. No.
But we'll talk about Africa when it's convenient. I mean, I'm sorry. That's what I think my thing. It's like, not really, it's just like a token, you know what I mean, to like pull out when you decide that you want to talk about it.
When it serves you.
That's a problem. It's gonna raise questions. Yeah, Well,
I
go
can
ahead.
tell you what. I'll tell you what Tulsi is. That's Graham Elweird, exactly. That's true. But my boy Thomas, I gotta talk to you real quick. It says I'm still barely a Tulsi supporter, but she needs to be called out for recent comments. Let her know, never hold back. It's more than just her comments.
Mm-hmm.
What I'll tell you what Tulsi is. Tulsi is basically what a lot of them are. They're political actors. She thought that I can strike out on my own. I can try to, tread my own path during the election. And she thought she can get some traction being a female veteran, all these things like this, minority and all that. When it blew up on her, when she went after the Clintons, what she's doing now is, since she knows she's burned all her bridges with the Democratic Party, she's trying to kiss as much ass with the Republican Party to get back in some kind of good graces so she can possibly get in somebody's office or staff. This is all about Tulsi being a political animal and her just going with whatever the whims are and jumping on a team. She doesn't really have a real interest or in any of this stuff. I mean, no disrespect to anybody from Hawaii, but most Hawaiians don't know jack shit about what's going on in Africa, North Africa, Middle East, and don't care. And if you grow
They
up,
don't like her either.
Being that far away from it,
They really don't. They don't
No,
like
they don't
her.
like. I lived there when she was running for
She
president.
lived there.
Yeah, they don't like her because she was the one. She was city council member, and she was the one that introduced the bill that was doing the homeless sweeps. It was called sidewalk cleanup.
Mm-hmm.
But she's talking about human beings, and she was working with the developers, the business developers, and people that were in like the commerce, right, in Hawaii. And she's the one who introduced this bill that was pretty much saying like, oh, the cops are going to get together with I guess people that work for the dump or whatever, and they give 24-hour notice to different areas of Honolulu, and they have 24 hours to clear their stuff. Otherwise, everything gets thrown away, everything. So like, this is who Tulsi is, and this is how she's always been.
Right?
Yeah, and she was the one that dome that they all just voted for, that AOC and all of them, they're getting all that shit for voting for that dome, as they should, rightfully so. Like, this is not a defense of them. She in 2015, Tulsi gave a speech at the United Christians for Israel, right? And it's saying that Israel that she wanted to, with her position in the Senate committee, I think not Senate, but House Committee of like Arms or something like that. She said that she was going to use her powers there to make sure that she helps fund the ballistic missiles program in Israel, because they need to protect themselves from ISIS and Iran. And this is in 2015. So are you telling me that all these spectacular researchers, right, these journalists, like alternative media people, didn't know how to do enough research to know that shit was said? Like, but you can find all this other shit about AOC. She worked through U.S. aid and like did this in Niger and Nehemiah, whatever. If you can find that, but you can't find it about Tulsi, give me a break. Like, this is some bullshit. Sorry. That was my rant on Tulsi. I'm done.
Oh yeah, and I was gonna say, for anybody who wants to try to come at Allie's on the good side. Okay, Allie is not gonna be one of those people in the end where she's gonna be on the wrong side of history. So don't try to do that guilt by association shit with her. Just putting that out there.
Oh Lord, I mean, it comes with the yeah. Yeah, it's all good. Say what?
Oh no, nothing.
Wait. Oh, okay.
That was just my piece on her.
I gotta. No, but it's important because really, frankly, there's still kind of a void.
Yeah, they're not really saying very much about it. Yeah, because she's like pretty much letting you know that like essentially the war on terror or whatever is shifting toward Africa. I mean, it has been shifting for some time, but it is like aggressively shifting now. So like, she kind of just solidified it for you as far as like, hey, by the way, this is what I've been doing, working for the Civil Affairs and Psychological Operations Command, help assisting special forces. And she said, oh, we need targeted airstrikes. That's how we're going to fight the jihadists. We need to blow up their terrorist cells. As if like, dude, the way that you fight violence is with more aggressive, I guess, targeted violence. So it's like, I don't know how I don't know. And I'm not hating on the people that like maybe did support her because, maybe they really didn't know about all this other shit that she was doing. I'm more talking about the people that present themselves as some sort of like, like research geniuses who didn't fucking see this. So That's all.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you want to be a research, be consistent throughout, even if you're not gonna like what you
Y'all wanna
find.
know why Allie's phone keeps dropping out?
Mm.
Y'all want to know why Allie's phone keeps dropping out? Really? Because it's really not Allie. It's really a Nigerian scammer using like 3 different phones who are like
Yeah,
Raspberry.
that's what it is.
So that's the
Oh,
reason.
sorry. This time I
The
won't.
Nigerian prince scam.
That's what it is. No, I'm on
Nigerian
I won't have it again. Sorry about that.
Aren't you, Allie?
What was that? No.
Oh, this is for you.
Oh yeah.
No, I mean, it's an uncomfortable truth. I think that's, when you come up working with a politician or whatever, it's just kind of inevitable that you may have some kind of, you're going to have a personal connection, but it is important to.
Yeah. Well, you're talking about people's lives. So.
Yeah. And just, me personally, after all that I've learned about recently, just seeing what she's been up to in Africa, this is just my thoughts. I'm convinced she's a psyop, fully and completely. Truly, because she's well versed in it. Like, what the fuck were you doing in Africa? You are, she's going on these going on shows differentiating between Islam and jihadists, and it's like that's just a nice way of transitioning into the next war. And and people be like, well, we have been in Africa. Okay, so do we want to talk about it now then, or like it's just
But Africa's always been fucked up, Allie. Like, it's always like that. Like, what can we do? It's like it's the most like ridiculous, like defeatist. But you want to talk about Syria every single day, and that's not to say that it's not important, but it's just kind of funny. Like, there's certain places that are like okay to talk about. Well, like he's good on Syria, he's good on Assange. It's like, I don't give a fuck. Dude.
Yeah, I mean, great.
What does that mean? What
Great
does that mean?
you said something about him. Great. Like, you know what I mean? Go ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah, Saudi Arabia can never be talked about. Yeah, Saudi Arabia is never talked about. Even they literally chopping off their heads in the streets.
Yeah, they're very strict.
Yeah. You hear people
Can I say something?
MBS liberated the women. Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, Al.
Sure.
Go ahead, Al.
I just wanted to ask if she ever made any public comments, because I don't really go to her Twitter that much, on the 10 civilians who were killed in ISIS-K, but not really ISIS-K, in Afghanistan, in Kabul, and including 7 children. I wonder if she ever made any comments about that.
She made a comment on Tucker's show. That's where she was also talking about some of the stuff that she's been up to. But she made a comment. Okay. He asked her about it, but then she followed it up with, but like that is the jihadists are a real problem, like regardless of what happened. So we do need to continue doing targeted airstrikes to take them out.
Of course.
Because there's still a problem, regardless of like the targeted airstrikes, like, look what they did, right? With just this one particular incident, because no one really talks about the incidents in Somalia. And I'm not saying like, no one talks about Somalia, but like they really don't. Like, people have no fucking idea.
They didn't even know that there was a war in Somalia. A lot of people.
Yeah, or that Trump was like bombing the fuck, like droning the shit out of Somalia more than like more than Obama, like,
and dropping more bombs than anyone before. They just keep out bombing each other, probably out. I don't know. I don't want to say that, but I know that Obama out deported people. Over Bush, but I don't know if that happened with Trump. I haven't really looked into it, but I know he dropped more bombs for sure, like in his first year, right? Like a couple of years. It was insane. And then he had his first war crime really like early after being appointed, and it was in Yemen, the Yemen raid, as we recall. But nobody wants to talk about Yemen because we don't want to end that.
Yeah, I was going to say, as far as Trump and deportations, most of his deportations, he was higher as far as Central Americans and some Middle Eastern, but a lot of the courts blocked a lot of his stuff. He still stayed below what kind of rough Obama was, and now
because they cared then.
As far as Haitians, he's already like triple where Obama was at.
It only mattered when it was Trump doing the deporting. It didn't matter when Obama was doing it for the elite, for the people who give us our propaganda that we we
The
so
deep
love
state that
and
he's
desire.
fighting.
But not for like the people who were calling him deporter in chief. Let's be clear. Like there were people who were upset with Obama for his ICE tactics.
Oh yeah, the
Yeah, they were
casual
just-
blaming
yeah.
Kelly. Yeah, I remember that.
It just wasn't a popular
Well, when
position
you
to
got
take at the
when you
time.
got the side, I mean, of course you're going to get better coverage. I mean, that's the only thing that happens. And most of these Democrats today, they go for personality. And so as long as the media says that, oh, he's not doing anything wrong, everything is a Republican lie.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and then the Republican, I guess the conservative quote unquote side has their own, bullshit. Like they're replacing our gene pool. It's like it's super. I mean, Tucker actually said that recently. I'm like I don't normally watch him, but I just went through a week of like, I was like, what does this guy say? Like, what is he? Who is this guy? And he was talking about how the Haitians are like coming in droves and they're going to be infiltrating. Essentially, he didn't use that word, but basically like infiltrating the legacy American stock. That's what he said. The legacy American stock were the words he used, and I was like, wow,
Yeah.
this is interesting. Like you're just going there, like the Great Replacement thing. Like you're like you're actually going to play. Like, yeah, exactly. The Richard Spencer.
Like, hey, we'll go with this one. Yeah, it's like I think you said like you're for like a week. That's like me with like lately like just the finance stuff, like economy, and I like to listen to the mainstream just to hear how they're framing it. I think it's just as important, Yeah, watch independent media, sure, but it is important to also listen to the mainstream ones. That's obviously because the information is presented in a way that's objective, but it's important to understand like what they're not saying and kind of go from there, because I don't know, that's just me though. Like I like to go to the quote, the source versus hearing somebody else's analysis of how that goes.
Yeah.
Just another way to kind of get a better
interpret
view
it yourself.
Yeah, I mean
That's good. Yeah. Come to your own conclusion.
I agree.
Yeah,
not just like how they said this over here or that. And it's
Think for yourself, basically.
Exactly.
It's always biased anyway, and has a narrative.
Even if it's independent media, but I feel like if you're in independent media, like you should be encouraging people to research it themselves. Like you should be giving them the tools to empower themselves,
Right.
and you should encourage them to question you as well.
Yeah.
You shouldn't be scared of that. Like why? Like because if they're maybe they're wrong, maybe you're wrong, but either way, it's like if your point is to get to the truth, then like why? Then that's it. That should be the whole point, not your pride or whatever, your ego or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
I agree.
Right there. This I hardly watch any media. They're all owned by the government. Well, they're not owned by the government, but
They're instructed.
they are owned by the people for the most part.
They're stenographers.
That last time, like almost all the major media organizations are only owned by about 6 conglomerates. At this point, they might be down to about 4. I mean, so it's getting to the point of like movies like Demolition Man, where there's literally one news organization that's over everything. There's one food place that's over everything. That's where everything's going towards. And you look at, the CFR and all of those things like that. That's what it's all. That's the goal, to make it all. Now, whether you look at it through a biblical lens and see it that way, or whether you just disconnect it and look at the actual mechanizations that are going on, it is all going towards a group of small predatory class. I gotta find a better word than elite. People at the very, very top who are trying to basically control and guide everybody. And it's either you get on our plan or you get laid down eventually. So I guess we need to get to that. Gavin Newsom. We forgot to bring him also. We already talked about New York, how they were pushing, and I forgot to mention with the New York story. Right before, also with that, she had put out guidelines where basically, if you were in certain medical fields and staffing, that you had to vaccinate. Well, a ton of people actually, said, I'm not getting it, bye, I'll bounce. So when they started doing that, what she decided to do is she gave herself authorization to be able to bring in the National Guard. We can talk about that another time, but she brought in the National Guard, and that's, I look at that as that's another ratcheting up on that level of fascism. And so to take that over to the next level of fascism, over to California and Gavin Newsom. Can you update everybody on what Gavin Newsom has just put out?
Sorry, I was chatting. Yeah. So this is a complicated one. This is interesting. How do I go about this? Okay. So the Forced Medicine Initiative, I'm going to do that on the public by our great and powerful leaders, is going to be directed at children now for the future. And this is kind of the beginning of that with California. Yes, it is getting worse. But better at the same time, because we thank them so much for their intervention in our lives. Okay, so so for the school children, like K through 12, basically, once they get the approval for the beautiful, wonderful shot that will save all of our lives, including our children and people around us who are children, in my case, it will be available at some point via FDA approval. I'm guessing an EUA, like the boosters. After the trials are done, they're still doing that, but he is giving us a contingency plan because he cares so much about our children, or the people behind him care so much about our children and the people around us who are children. And he is dictating that children have to get vaccinated by a certain time after the shot is available, as if it's the same as the shots that they already require, because he's going to put this into the same list, on the same list as all of these other required shots. And I said vaccinate, I'm sorry, but like shots, for children who are still growing up and are only a very small percentage, super small percentage, less than 1,000 casualties so far from the, allegedly are not as at risk as the adults who are in charge of their lives. So yeah.
He's mandating it for everybody. He says that is possibly eligible.
What's that?
Yeah, say that. Let's not go into numbers and let's not
okay,
that.
No numbers.
But Marcus, we knew he was going to do that once he won the recall, right? I mean, that was specified that he was going to.
That's what I've noticed ever since the recall. And the weird thing about it is, he got recalled because people were upset with a lot of these mandates and measures that he's been putting in, as far as the outbreak, as we'll call it. This is why a lot of the people in the state were upset with him in the first place. Mm-hmm. Now what he's doing is, now that he's survived the recall, now he's really pushing even more. It's like almost every week a new mandate comes out, from Gavin Newsom. And it's like, it's almost like he knows that he's only going to be in office for a little bit longer, and he needs to put out a certain amount of things before he vacates that office. And the reason why, just my theory, my personal opinion, I believe that he is going to be on the ticket with Kamala Harris in the possible either, re-election, where Biden will probably step down, or after Biden wins, be selected. So that's why I feel like he's probably pushing some of this stuff. This is all my opinion, I say again. But that's, he's ratcheting up like every 5 minutes, more the mandates.
Ugh.
Okay.
That's all I can say.
Okay,
Gavin Newsom. Oh no,
I know, right?
About Gavin Newsom, because I'm biased. Like, yeah,
We
he's
didn't-
terrible. Just like J.B. Pritzker in Illinois, who doesn't get enough scrutiny, in my opinion. But anyway, honestly, this just reminds me about, or just like takes me back just in terms of Gavin Newsom and what he's doing. I think a lot of this, I don't know. I think like what I'm hearing from California a lot is just this like the fixation that it sounds like this particular state government has with kids. I know this is like, could be applied in any state, but that's just what I'm hearing a lot of, like a focus. It's just like he's successfully uniting people against him just because of the his approach to all of this. I would say it's like a lot of these governors I feel like are competing for who can get the most attention for just like how outrageous they will be. I don't know what else
Like
you guys
a
think about
competition.
it. Yeah, pretty much.
Like who could be hated more?
Mm-hmm.
Pretend like
Yeah.
everything's okay.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's all
Race to
good.
the bottom.
Yes. It's like, yeah, I don't know. I mean, yeah. What else do you guys think about it?
I mean, Gavin's just, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't even take him seriously. You know?
No.
It's like,
No.
sorry if you can hear the crickets. I'm outside, so.
That's kind of nice.
Chirping.
Actually.
Okay.
Nice background.
Yeah, it does. It's great.
Nice.
Great
Pleasant.
background.
I'm like, oh, I should smoke. And I'm like, okay, yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Reason why, like, it'll no numbers. We don't know the reason why I don't want to do any numbers is because this is the stuff they look for to go after us on. Whether we can give. I literally gave CDC numbers and got my video struck down for that. That's what I'm saying. Stay away from the numbers. I don't like the numbers.
Mm. That's why I'm like, I don't want to say anything. I'm like scared. I don't
Censor
wanna
the
get
number.
Wait,
I'm like,
everybody loves
Look at
everything.
censoring the
Everybody's
number.
fine.
This is
It's all
great.
good.
Yeah. We just have to come up with our own language.
Fauci should be getting his Nobel Prize any minute now.
He
Right?
hasn't gotten it yet?
Nobel
Oh my
Peace
God.
Prize, yes.
He didn't get it yet.
He
Yeah.
and Greta Thunberg, right together,
Mhm.
standing side by side. They do so much for the environment.
Yeah. He
I
earned that.
honestly look at all this stuff, like, if you just look back through Fauci's record on things that he's been involved with, I'm just blown away. Well, I can't say I'm blown away because it doesn't matter if it's medical professionals, if they're lawyers in administrations. It seems like the more times you're embroiled in some kind of conflicts or things which don't always look on the up and up, you just somehow just keep getting promoted for some reason. Wonder how that works. Wonder why it works.
Oh yeah.
Well, the more stuff they have on you, the more they can promote you because then you'll follow what they say to do.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Well,
I mean, unless you're
Sally?
a principled person, but then, you end up dead. So,
Side note, Graham Elweird. No.
give Chicago to
No. Absolutely not.
No.
No. We've got our problems, but we don't need that. Trust, no.
They'll take care of it, surely.
Lori Life, it's got it on lock, okay? You can go. Just kidding.
I love Chicago. Beautiful, fun city. Even though it's probably one of the most corrupt cities in the country.
Oh, yeah.
But it's still
Oh, yeah.
still a lot of good people there. A lot of fun stuff to do. Fun place besides the corruption. But at this point, what place is not corrupt at this point? I mean, you can go and find a small city council like Alabama, and that shit's fucking corrupt now, just as much as Chicago or New York or LA.
Oh yeah, it's no one like that is from here, like actually like from here, because I wasn't born here, but people that are like born here, like it's so ingrained in just every day. It's just like, yeah, like because I'll try to get people like, I'm like, aren't you pissed? It's like, no, this is how it is. Like, lots of bad habits come out of the city, a lot of bad policies, a lot of bad politicians come out of the state. Like, we're happy when a governor or any politician in the state isn't, indicted. Like we've I think had 3 governors that have gone to prison. Aldermen are always under investigation. It's fun, good stuff here. Sebs thinks it's Chicago's psyop. Yeah,
I do. I do.
No, it is. It is. It is.
I just made
the
a
worst. It's
smoothie
like,
with
like
kale.
Baltimore. Baltimore's another side.
Oh yeah, I've never been. I'm gonna visit.
Hey, L, can you bring up some audio for me? Can you bring up that Eddie Griffin clip?
Yeah.
Because since we can't really say what we really want to say, and Eddie Griffin's video, this video is still on YouTube, and so
Yeah, y'all had
I
your
figured
chance.
Obviously, it must be okay. We're just covering what a comedian is saying, so we will let Eddie Griffin, Sebs, Ali, have you two heard this yet?
Oh yes. I heard Eddie.
Oh yeah.
Yes. I saw that. That was very interesting. I'm like, why?
I don't think so.
You haven't heard it, Allie?
Let me see. I don't think.
I think I put it on Yellow's chat once. I think we all watched it. Right?
It's a little long.
Yes. Okay. For some reason, I was. Yeah, you did.
Yeah, it's like 10 minutes.
Should listen
I really
maybe
doubt
to
Eddie
the
Griffin
first
will
part.
copyright.
Oh yeah, I don't think he copyright. I think it's his own personal channel, like his YouTube.
Yeah,
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it's his channel.
He's a cool dude.
Mm.
I used to
Yeah,
watch
you
Malcolm
guys
and
are
Eddie
good
as a
with this.
child.
He's pretty funny.
Yep.
I used to love him back in the
I
day.
used to live where
Undercover Brother.
I used to live where
Undercover Brother was so good. I remember laughing.
Yes.
So much
I
truth
like
in
the
that
comedy.
movie.
I like his comedy, like his stand-up too. It's pretty raw, but
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's kind of I think.
what'd you say, Marcus?
I said I also love the shows because most of these shows always are about New York, Boston, LA. There's never any shows that really put the Midwest, any Midwest cities, as like a focal point. And so I like the fact that him being from Kansas City, he used Kansas City as the set location. Well, it wasn't filmed in Kansas City, of course, but that's where the show was supposed to be taking place. So I thought that was kind of cool growing up, living there, watching a show about my own city.
Uh-oh.
No, that is cool.
D.L. Hughley is smarter.
That's Graham.
He's
He's
a
just
lot.
playing.
Oh, Graham.
Just Graham L. Weird again.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure. I think I know. I can't tell which one of the jokesters it is. I assume it's the Canadian jokester, who's the Graham L. Weird.
He's so funny.
Well, yeah, because he called me Marcus Rage, so I know only one person who's called me Marcus Rage.
Yeah.
That's correct, though.
I don't know who it is. I only have 2 fake accounts. 3.
Take it back.
That's probably
my old
prop.
account. Well,
Could be.
probably. I wasn't gonna say it, but likely so. But I could be wrong, though. I could be wrong. Give us a
That's
sign.
our happy roll. Or else it could, somebody
Actually, no. You know what? I don't think it is him.
Somebody said something about DJ Elf. And so I don't know. Sometimes he's my buddy.
Oh, Ed.
That was
but
so
sometimes-
random.
Oh, Ed.
Shout out to Ed Lee.
Ed, yeah, I hope your day has gotten better
Be well here.
this afternoon.
Yeah. Sorry.
No, I'm sorry. I just smoked. So I'm like, that just cracked me up. I just remembered.
Yes,
Okay.
I do rage out.
My bad.
I don't really ever see you rage out, to be honest. I haven't. I've not seen you. You didn't get. I saw one thing. You got very well. You were like getting visibly annoyed with who was a skeptical mantis. That was the only time I've seen it, though.
Oh, Mark.
Oh,
Not to bring up old blue.
There is one video where I
So
did like.
so skeptical.
I really raged out at this one guy he started saying some racist shit, and it wasn't somebody joking around. This was somebody being racist for real. And
What was he saying?
I got pretty pissed.
Mhm.
Suppressing Ed Lee. Oh Lord.
I know.
Ed,
Oh
you know,
Lord.
Ed honestly suppresses himself, and I'll tell you how he suppresses himself. Because a lot of people are on his side.
I
But
love
the
Ed
problem
though.
is, he starts whining and complaining so much that it gets to a point where people are like, "All right, dude, shut up," and then he just keeps on whining and complaining, and then people kind of lose that lose pity or lose compassion for his complaints because he complains so much and he kind of negates a lot of other people's issues at the same time. It's like, yes, we get it.
I think he
There
just
are people who are
has the one track. Yeah.
You're not the only people who have it rough, dude. Calm down.
I agree. He does do a lot of that, but I think he does mean well, and I think that he does think that what he thinks is the thing that's happening, like there's something to it, and I understand that feeling of like, what is that, and trying to figure it out and being like super fixated on it. I get it. I don't know. We've all been there. So I don't know. He's such a nice person, like at heart, that I can't like lose compassion for him. But
no,
yeah, or anybody. I mean, honestly, I don't think I lose compassion for anybody.
But I'll let him know.
Never lose compassion. I just lose
patience
absolutely.
With him
because
yeah.
As being so-called Black, Latino, and Native American, all aspects of my ancestors have been oppressed and have been constantly oppressed for centuries. And then when I hear somebody else talking about, well, what about me? What about me? When most Asians, and this is not every single Asian, but statistically, Asians are literally doing the best in America.
Oh Lord, don't let him know.
He said whose numbers, but whose metrics?
I mean, forgive me if I'm not
He said whose metrics?
Go down into those diatribes.
I just don't know why there needs to be like oppression, like, marathon, like, or like a competition.
Right.
To me, it's like, yeah.
A race,
anybody
basically.
being exploited. Yeah. Anybody being exploited is like fucking terrible. I don't care what the fuck you look like, period. Like,
yeah.
Let's just stop it. Like that's kind of where I'm coming from. I don't know why it needs to be like as an Asian man, nobody cares. It's like, okay. It's like, all right, it's like, oh, well, someone's not gonna take me seriously because they think I'm privileged. It's like, okay, like other people have been accused of that, and they're not Asian men, and they've been told that because they are privileged or whatever, that they their opinions are just a rich kid's like dumb opinions, something like that. So people get called out like that, and they're not Asian.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
It's like that shouldn't matter.
So it's like, and it's not like oh, well, that happened to me too. It's more just like, well, that does happen to other people. Like your point was just like proven false. Like, what's your next point? So I don't know. But
he makes the argument as if
but I love
only Asian people are the only ones who are suffering. Everybody else has it good or something. That's what aggravates me. It's not about who's having worse. It's about how it almost feels like he dismisses everybody else who's suffering, and it's just about Asians. Suffering.
Well, he said he's fighting for his people. I get it. I think he does care about everyone. I think he's just saying that it's like a defense thing. I think he does care about people in general. I don't think it's like it's there. It's very deep in there, but I promise.
Yeah, I spent a bit of time with it today, so that's why I'm like, I would say we all have our mediums. I've gotten more comfortable just like being on streams, but I would say in the past it's been written. Ed, I think your points come across a lot more effectively, Ed, if you're listening, when you're doing your show. It's like a different person, but with the text, it can come off a bit confusing to people. And I will leave it at that.
Jack said he never mentioned a donk.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. Yeah. I kept asking.
By the way, just a public service announcement. Jack never talked about donkopters.
I know that we might not make sense right now, but yeah, it's just little things. It's like, I don't know. Yeah. Can't say that we're not covering you, Ed. Just saying.
Speaking of Ed, can we get back to Eddie?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, my bad.
You got it, Elle? You found the clip?
Yeah,
My bad. We
I
keep going
had
on
the
tangents.
clip.
Okay, go
Sorry.
ahead. Oh, wow. Okay, go ahead.
All right, we were just picking on Ed for a moment.
I love it though.
All
Like
love, all love.
yes, he's a very kind, sweet individual, and I think he cares
We're
about
talking
people.
about
However misguided.
you know how many Native Americans like me who where they literally on the reservation know who took them, who raped them, murdered them, all of that.
Mm-hmm.
But because of the way the laws are written, you can't even go off the reservation and get these people and persecute them. There's like so much that's going on that's not even mentioned. That's the reason why it kind of it's a little aggravating, and to know like this was my people's land, and they literally some of them have to literally look up at the people who stole the land from them on their walls and on the money they have to spend. It's an extra level of, mind fucking, I guess, that on a daily basis, that even if you're not doing something physically to us that we have to deal with. So yeah, I'll get off of that before I go into a tangent.
Yeah, well, I mean, because he was saying some stuff about the race. This is my opinion on it. It's like, regardless of everything that happened, which a lot of things did happen, and they were fucking horrifying, and we can go into details about them. However, it wasn't the person that is here right now. That's not the person whose fault it was. Yes, absolutely, maybe that person that was at fault was in his lineage somewhere, but he is technically not responsible for that, correct? So it's no one's blaming anything on anybody per se. That's not the whole point of it. It's more of just that there has been, people want to call it generational wealth, whatever, stolen from, probably the biggest, like whether it be the Native Americans or the foundational Black Americans in the United States. Like, absolutely, that is a fact. Like, just whether it be redlining, whatever, it was like every step of the way, there was some sort of hurdle for a group of people that had been here for a very long time. That's a fact. So acknowledge that, period. Like, that is a fact. So, like, having said all that, it's not to say that like it's anybody's fault, but there are corporations who are, responsible for a lot of the money that was made, right, from those industries, and they're still with us today. So if anybody's going to pay reparations, I don't know why anyone thinks it's going to come from taxes. No, it's going to come from their revenue, because that's how reparations works. So just FYI, like that's what that is. So it's not even, it's, I don't know why that's so hard for people to understand. It's not like our tax, why would I pay for what my grandparents, like my pappy? I'm like, okay, no one's telling you to pay for anything. It's like, that's how that, so I don't have a problem with that when it's that way, but it's just, I don't know, but it's not, it shouldn't be like so hard to just state those things, but I don't know, because it clears things up. It's like
we're talking about the system itself. These corporations which have benefited from all of this, who get to just put on some Black Lives Matter T-shirts and say, okay, we'll have Native American Month, and we'll let's have Taco Tuesday, and everything's all good to go. Let's forget about it. I have my problems with the Bank of America, all of these corporations which made their money off of slavery, and they're multi-billion-dollar corporations which don't pay any taxes. That's who we want to take the reparations from us. And the message which they twist is, oh, well, if reparations get paid for all these different things, then it's going to come out of your taxes, which, how corrupt the system is, it probably would, because those people will find ways to always get themselves out of paying it, and then put it back on the American people just to be divisive,
Yeah, I agree.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, it's just silly. I don't know, like it just to argue it either way, like not the way what you're saying, but I'm just as far as that argument goes, where it's like, well, my people, this happened, my people that. It's like, well, yeah, but it doesn't mean that it's the person who's doing it right now. Like, of course, that's not their fault. No one's like, because of your people. It's like, well, no, like at least can we acknowledge, like we can all acknowledge that, right? Like it wasn't me doing it. Cool. Like, can we just get past that? Because I hear that a lot, where it's like, well, they're blaming us. They're blaming us. It's like, oh my God. Yeah, I'm talking to you, Dubster, and Matt Hunter. Dubster, not so much, but Matt Hunter, definitely.
I'm sorry. It's the last time I get cut off. Yeah, that was Dubster. I'm sorry. That's all I heard.
You're good, Allie.
Yeah,
Welcome
Okay.
back.
I'm back.
I just had to block. I'm like, I'm not. This dude's not gonna give me a coronary with his stupid shit anymore. I'm just blocking. Fuck it.
Yeah, it's not worth the. Yeah, you don't need a
It's fine.
coronary over him.
Well,
I'd have that.
well, I can't remember. Somebody was like, "Oh, why don't you guys just get in the ring?" And I'm like, oh, I would pray for that. I would pray for
God.
that. I would love. In fact, do it for charity. Do it for charity. If he wins, he wins.
Yeah, there you go.
If he wins, he
There you
wins.
go. There you go.
But no, I would welcome it any day, any night. I don't even have to train. I don't care. Let's slap on some gloves and hop in the ring, doctor. Because I won't even talk anymore. Just hop in the ring.
Just hop in the ring.
Are we circling back to Eddie?
Oh yeah.
No, I guess we can get off of Eddie. Tell Allie to quit doing her Mrs. Cleo, meetings with people on the side. That's why she keeps dropping out. We know what's going on.
Oh no, it already happened. It already happened. So I'm bad.
Miss Cleo calls.
Miss Cleo calls. Shit, I wish. Be a nice little side piece. I'm just kidding. I would never do that. But Miss Cleo, I remember those commercials. Good Lord.
I remember those too.
Call me
man.
now for the
Call
free
me now.
reading.
Call me
Yeah, I
now.
remember.
Call me now
Call me now.
for your free reading.
Yep,
That's really good, actually. That's funny.
Oh yeah, let's put on the Eddie Griffin clip.
Yeah.
Yeah, circle back. We
yeah,
circled
sure.
back. We
Gotta
did it.
circle
Yay,
back.
okay. I'm a circle back girl. No.
Yeah.
This is good.
I like his intro music.
So how's it going? How's it going? It's all going backwards. The whole world lost its motherfucking mind. In case you haven't noticed, there's a brand new racism going down. It's coming to you and near your town. It's probably at your head. Now, see, the black and white thing ain't working no more because, we finally come together like butt cheeks knowing that we all broke and the rich and elite, all rich and elite. How come they ain't paying taxes? That's number one. The male and female thing ain't working no more because, we're pretty much still fucking. Old against the young. I don't know about you, but the elders that I have, my youngsters help me, so I don't get that either.
Is he back?
Religion needs to say, okay, ran out on. Religion ain't working.
Oh, he's pushing campaign, right? Or prosecco.
Yeah.
So that means it's about to permeate the rest of the world. We got Taliban and switch their game. So all these triggers that the rich and powerful had to keep us separate from each other so that they can keep control over us, all of them are dying out. We came up with a new vaccinated against the unvaccinated. This is the new racism. I'm vaccinated. You're unvaccinated. I don't want his unvaccinated ass against me. Unless we get this right in the United States of America, the world is done. Australia's already some bullshit. America's the last place on earth where you have freedom of choice. You have a right to bear arms or not to bear arms. You have a right to take your cancer treatment or tell your doctor, fuck it, I'm tired of that chemo shit. Now, I believe cancer is way more deadly than COVID.
Allegedly.
But ain't nobody forcing motherfuckers to go take chemotherapy. But they are driving the point home. You can't go to work unless you get COVID shot. Who does this? I can go for Biden for that bullshit. What the fuck you up to, man? And then you gonna exempt Congress.
Oh,
They staff and their family from the mandate that you forcing everybody else to have. Fuck you, Congress, and the rest of the fuck motherfuckers. Now, how about that? I ain't taking the shot unless all the rest of you motherfuckers take the shot. Congress. Since it's so safe. So what the fuck y'all know that we don't? Huh? Oh, that is crash test dummy season? Yes. So, do you vaccinate? I ain't got nothing against you motherfuckers. Go ahead, take the vaccine. But I'm not going to be ostracized because I don't want to. How about that? Oh, I'm still going to be out in public because I ain't got shit. I take a test every day, come back negative. So if I ain't got shit, I'm worried about you motherfuckers. Because you have the vaccine flowing through your veins, so that means you have it. Until the numbers come out and prove to me that the vaccine is working, because ain't no numbers proving that shit.
he's
It's all
lying.
lies. Hospitals filled with the unvaccinated. It's filled with the vaccinated. How about that, boy? Do some research.
Subscribe.
But I'm not here to perpetuate the war between vaccinated and unvaccinated because the news is doing that daily. Every day, unvaccinated, the wars against the unvaccinated. Now they call it a war against the unvaccinated. How about your grandmama's unvaccinated? You get war with your grandmama because she refused to take the vaccine? They done drove a nail between families. You can't go see your family because the vaccine. This has all been triggered by the rich nigga. They knew they had us when they had us all wearing masks. They knew right then and there we got them. The TV is working. They had us so afraid. We stayed in the house for a year. Well, some of you motherfuckers did. I was out for anything. They kept us in the house for a year. Don't go visit parents on Christmas. T-Wolf.
Oops.
Don't go visit your mama. None of that shit. She might have it. Your wife might have it. Your kids might have it. You might give it to them. I mean, that's bullshit. How the fuck they got us scared of the people in our house? I remember Cuomo called, and he had to quarantine himself in his basement. In his house. He couldn't go hug his wife and kids in his house, and he televised that shit. They televised on purpose to promote divide and conquer within your family.
I'm gonna skip to the end
Y'all want somebody to check this in?
because he said something good at the end, and we don't have time. Okay.
Last time I checked, the creative vaccine take 10, 15 years just to make the basic. They did shit in 10 months. You crash tested them. Now, like I said, I ain't got nothing against taking the shit. But I like to see it prove that it works for a disease that actually exists. Now, if everybody that took the shot is alive 10 to 15 years, I'll be first in line to get the jab. That's it. Oh, and how come nobody is promoting a natural, healthy immune system? Taking vitamin C, zinc, and vitamin D. How come that ain't on Mad News Network? Not even Fox. Very interesting. Oh, and Israel, which man, such a titty up. They just came out with a study that said the natural immune system fights it better than the jab. Check into that. Yeah. Debate that. And Dr. Fauci's stuff. I need to look into that. There's got to be something you can say against that. That's all they're trying to go. Against the natural immune system. That's what he said. Out of his fuck ass mouth.
Those are all lies by a crazy person on YouTube, and that's all I have to say.
He's a liar.
How is that allowed to stay up?
Yep, filthy liar. Filthy,
Honestly,
filthy liar.
it takes a long time. It's not easy to ban videos, to remove them from the YouTube. They need more time.
Filthy liar.
They will enforce it very soon. They just have too many to go through right now. This is according to an NBC report from a senior reporter who looks 26 at most. She was telling all about how these anti-vaxxers keep using this platform, and the content creators who are smaller are going to take a little bit longer to get to. So, good news for some people.
They'll track them all down, and we wish them well, don't we? On their noble quest to take everything out. Yeah.
We support you too. We support you too.
Ugh.
Our humble leader.
Forget this. I'm not good at this.
Thank you, Susan, for all of your blessings.
For your blessings. Oh, God. Good Lord.
I'm sorry I mentioned 23andMe and your connection. I'm so sorry. I'm sure that's not why you took down the video, but
good intentions.
I'm sorry it happened.
Yeah. It's clown world.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, Eddie Griffin is an insane person, but I do support his speech, his right to free speech.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't.
I'm
I'm just kidding. I don't know how much like a character I'm supposed to be for this. Like, I'm not good.
Let's not go full fascist.
All right.
Never go full fascist.
Full fascist. No. Okay. Yeah.
Just teeter at the cusp of fascism.
Just all you
Yes.
need to do.
Okay.
That is our
Right there,
dystopian goals.
On the precipice.
Yeah.
Yes, the
Precisely.
precipice. We should do a show called The Precipice.
The precipice.
We're just on the precipice of fascism the entire show.
Oh,
You don't know the difference between us or the U.S. government. It would be crazy.
You know,
Yeah. Go ahead.
I literally said, like, I literally had a show where I said almost exactly what he said word for word about 4 months ago on this channel, actually. And it got taken down.
Yeah, that's weird.
I always find
Yeah,
it interesting,
it's
like,
weird.
somebody like me, I can't say it, but, you know, other people, they can get away with saying the same exact damn thing I said.
Yeah, well, you mean on YouTube specifically, like larger creators, like with ads and such? I suppose it depends on your value to the platform itself. So it's like smaller, like the big channels, because the ad revenue or whatever, I presume. This is just me speculating. But like it is interesting how some channels will quickly get something demonetized or flagged. But also then, you know, I'm assuming it has to do with if like people report your shit or stuff. Sorry, am I allowed to swear? I'm so bad at this. I'm gonna ruin everything.
I said fuck so many times.
Let me.
I know. I know you're trying so hard.
I'm like,
Brian, you say you don't know his background. You just know he's apologist for Israel. Actually, no. He actually is extremely anti anything Israel. I mean, I feel like he masked it. Even people who are Jewish who don't support the occupation in Israel and don't support a lot of the things which Israel does, I feel like he kind of masked his attacks against them also. Even Jewish people who are non-religious who like, hey man, I'm just going on what my parents told me. I feel like he kind of pseudo attacks them also, almost in a I don't like the term anti-Semitic because it's a misnomer. I'll say anti-Jewish. And I feel like he kind of does a guilt by association. He just kind of masks it. I grew up around outright blunt racists, and I grew up around racists who know how to hide it and who know how to kind of, we'll joke around with it. And sometimes he comes out with it pretty directly. Sometimes he just kind of masks it or whatever. But what you notice is he always comes back to these themes over and over and over. And then he says stuff like, if you don't like it, get out of America. It's like, who the fuck are you? This is that same kind of colonial supremacist mindset that he always comes with. And I see it out of him. So trust me, I got more experience with dealing with assholes like him, whether they try to mask it or not. Patty says, does anyone believe in Jesus? I believe in the people that I don't call it.
I mean, he
Jesus.
existed.
I call him by the Paleo Hebrew, which I won't go into all that, but yes, I do believe in a Messiah. But sorry, you guys can go back into. Sorry for interrupting.
oh no.
No, I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
No,
I
you're
think maybe
good.
you just believe,
Yeah.
like maybe you believe in like some sort of goodness, some sort of like pure goodness, something that's right.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
I think like religion to me, I think growing up
doesn't bother
with
me.
with one parent, my dad's Jewish, my mom's Christian. So I guess for me, I've never, because I grew up in two religions essentially, so I've never been one to be like, oh, this is how it is. Like whatever brings somebody
Yeah.
peace. Like I'm definitely more of just like the spirituality thing. It's like me personally, I don't know, and I'll never know. I know what I think, which is I think that there's some greater power. I don't know what that is, and I'm okay not knowing what that is. However, it is not for me or anyone to tell another, in my opinion, like, you're wrong for believing this or you're wrong for believing that. That's a little tangent, a side tangent, but I don't know if that's where you're going with it, but that's just my thoughts.
Yeah, I agree. I've kind of grew up in a similar household.
I on others, and so I just try to keep because I look at it like this. Through my beliefs, we're only gonna know in the end who sits on what sides of fence. So I don't try to tell this or that. I just go with what I believe, and if people want to try to understand more of my beliefs, then you're always welcome to DM me and ask me about it and talk about it. This is what I was kind of going into, what Thomas said here. That's why I put it on the screen. It says most people living in the Middle East and North Africa are Semites. Anti-Semitism isn't limited to Jews. Yes, when you go into the descendants of Shem, there's a lot of people who are Shemites. So it's kind of a unfair misnomer, which is often used. I hate the term anti-Semitism.
Yeah.
I feel like you didn't say anti-Jewish, and that's normally what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And just if I may add something in, just I think something that with what was that? Oh, believe Jesus, Patty. I don't know why they made me laugh. I think I think I was gonna talk to you this summer. Yeah, it was over the summer, but shit on my end just got crazy about this. As far as like making it seem in the United States, it's always made to seem like Judaism it must be tied with Israel. And like I obviously grew up in a Jewish family. Guys, like Orthodox Jews would consider me Jewish because my dad is Jewish, not my mom. But my point is that many confuse Judaism having, like if you're Jewish and you're living in the United States, you must be also allegiant to Israel, which if that's, your focus is like nation states anyway, whatever, but that's not the case. And so I don't know. There is a big void, I think, for a lot of even just like secular Jews in the United States who don't really say anything about it. It's frustrating to see Israel be tied to Judaism. Just the idea of it. I understand where it comes from, et cetera, but there's never a discussion about what about the people who don't feel any allegiance to Israel or what the Israeli government's doing. It's like that I feel like is never talked about. So I don't know. I mean, I could talk about it more, I guess, but it's just you don't hear it that often. You usually have like the standard quote like Jewish voices in the United States in media, whether they're more of like the Reform type of Judaism or secular Jews, or you have like the Ben Shapiro types, and then it's like there's no room for any in between.
The Ben Shapiros.
The Ben Shapiro types. Yeah. I can't tell you how many times I've been called anti-Semitic.
I wanted to be able to have you and Josh on to really talk about that, because I feel like a lot of secular Jewish people in America are getting dragged into the whole Zionist Judaism loop unfairly, and I want for us, when we talk about Zionists or we talk about Israel, Israeli Jewish, Judaism, Orthodox, Sephardic, when we start going in, to be able to, for one, treat people as individuals and judge them case by case basis. Don't lump them in, just like we don't do with any other groups of people. It's not fair. I got into a nasty exchange with a Zionist not too long ago who basically told me that black people are colonized because they still live in America. We won't go down that road tonight, but
wow.
But we just got to have a better understanding and start talking to people and deal with each person on their own individual merit. I've seen Ali call out the Israeli government multiple times, and I've seen where Orthodox or Jewish or Judaism people would be in conflict to some of the things she's saying. So we can't always treat everybody, and paint with a broad brush. That's what I want to say. And for those who don't know, I'm a Hebrew Israelite. A lot of Hebrew Israelites are normally on the street corners yelling at a lot of people who would, I guess, fall into that category of Jewish. And I try to not put myself in the category of painting with a broad brush, and I would hope that others won't judge me the same way. I mean, won't judge me in a broad brush, type scenario also. So, let's just all try to deal with people for the contents of their character and deal individually instead of, just painting broad brushes on everybody.
Yes, 1000%. Yep.
Oh yeah.
Sure.
That sounded cool. I called out the Israeli government. I was just like imagining
at the Likud party.
Yeah. I
Come
mean,
over here, BB.
Come here. No, it's something. It's not like I'll say. It's not not comfortable. It's not like a fun topic to talk about because I don't know. You kind of like learn what people think, because here's another thing that a lot of American. I'll like keep it to the United States because that's my experience with Jewish people, even if it's just secular, like more of a cultural thing. Zionism is not Judaism. I mean, there's Zionists that aren't Jewish, so it's like it's an ideology. I would say it's very intertwined with a lot of shit going on right now, as I understand it. But a lot of Jewish people won't talk about the Quins. They're not, right?
Most Zionists are evangelicals, actually.
And it's an entire and I like think of it just. I just think of things like groups that would funded both sides of something like World War II. Like there are things that are uncomfortable truths, I will say. Sorry if this gets your channel fucked with, by the way, but there's information that is definitely left out. And I think that the only way to really, I don't know, but there's this it's like saying anti-Semitism, like it's just very overused in my opinion. And it's like kind of lost quote its value. So I just don't think that there's enough Jewish people, mostly I would say secular Jews, that like want to talk about it. Cause it's, I don't know, the guilt that you would get from some of your family in like some of that culture. And I guess this could be applied to any culture or religion, but it's just a special type. It's like it's if you've like abandoned that in a way, it's not good. So like I have an uncle that he won't speak to my brother or I because he doesn't like recognize us as quote Jewish people. It's like, well, we don't even want to be, like that's not your choice. And the reason that you're doing it's because my mother isn't. And it's I've grown up seeing how divisive that shit can split families apart. It's fucking dumb to me. So yeah, that's my rant.
I feel that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
we're gonna going into that kind of because I secular Jewish people are not really afforded a voice to kind of show where they are, because I can understand being caught in that pinch and not feeling like there's certain things where you disagree with and you want to come out and say it, but if you do, you're going to get attacked from this angle. If you do, you're going to get attacked from this angle. So it feels like crap. What do I do? And so I commend you for having the courage, to speak out.
I mean, that happens with everything, though, right?
Yeah, everything. Yeah, I agree. Sorry.
Like that. No, I think that happens with everything too. I just like as far as even just the people, whether it's people you hang out with, work with, your family, whatever. It's like if you have an opinion that might be unpopular or viewed a certain way, it's like I don't know.
It's not even not even about me. That's just me. Thank you. It's just me being me. I get why it would be intimidating for people, and that's for anything. It's just like yeah.
Well, I mean, my dad's side, they're Catholic. My mom's side's Muslim, so it's like, man, I don't even know. Like, I just don't even.
Really?
My dad, it's Catholic, Roman Catholic. Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting.
Went to mass and communion and all that. Yeah.
Well, yeah. So you know exactly what up.
Yeah.
Just check.
My dad's side.
Okay.
It is actually Jackie from Fred. Leftist.
Hi,
no,
Jackie.
I don't think democracy is bad. I just don't that it is. I believe that it's so corrupted that we're.
Or is that one of props?
It's corrupted, and it's not. We don't have democracy anymore. But more than likely, I got the feeling that it's probably or goofing around. So. If that was Jackie, that's my honest answer.
Jackie, if that was you, I apologize.
I mean, with the full name of the show, whatever.
I am just so confident it's not you, Jackie. But if it is, look, come at me.
Goddamn.
If it really is Jackie, I'm sorry. It seems like we were.
She wouldn't ask about Survivor.
Not taking you seriously.
I just
Goof around quite a bit.
Hey, Marcus, it's like 2:30 here.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I guess
No
sorry,
NBA players.
I kept fucking going to. I'm sorry.
It's probably pretty late for everybody on the what the heck
East Coast
over there. So
Yeah.
East Coast.
go ahead and
Sorry.
going to wrap it up. I mean, I know I can keep going forever, but let's not wear everybody out too much. But yeah, and I definitely appreciate Sebs and Ali for coming on.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
No, thank you for having us.
And tuned in. Even our happy trolls.
Only happy trolls.
We bring trolls.
No negative.
Damn it. But nobody
I am
wants
not-
to talk to us.
Troll army.
God, man. Thank you for having us. Oh, shit,
Yeah, thank you.
Hey, makes it never a dull moment. Not like you needed the trolls. I'm done now.
No, right? Jeez.
And thank you to my
God damn it.
also Health and Emmanuel. Also to my good buddy Chris. I know he's
Mhm.
probably resting right now. If he hops in, he can the rest of this later on. I hope you feel better. My prayers definitely will be out to you that you get better soon. And I guess that's all I have for now. Ladies, do you
NBA
guys
players,
have
maybe a
anything
shout out.
um, I guess stories you guys have coming up? Elle, you have any kind of podcast that you like to inform the audience about?
I already promoted it, but at the end I'll just say it's a Super Awkward Funcast. superawkwardfuncast.podbean.com, and the last episode is called WhoTube, and it's not at all about what the YouTube policy is regarding certain things that are being mandated across the United States. But yeah, that's it. It was a one person only one. Hopefully I'll have guests in the future, but that was the last one. The one before that was with Chris.
Cool.
Hit Me With the Next Shot, and it's one of my favorites. If you want to learn some more information, you can go to that one. Again, superawkwardfuncast.podbean.com. Just linked the actual podcast for the last episode.
Oh,
And it's only an hour and a half. It's less than an hour and a half, so it's easy to listen to, except I'm very exasperated in it because a lot of shit goes down. But it's very informative, and again, you can read the sources and the show notes, and I recommend doing that, even if you don't listen. Again, thank you so much. And shout out to the NBA
thank
players who are speaking up, just normal words about things, but are so revolutionary at the moment because it's a weird dystopia now.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I don't really have anything. I just appreciate everybody showing up, and I hope Chris feels better. Yeah, I didn't know he wasn't feeling well, so I hope he heals up. So, because he's missed on here.
Yeah. Speaking of Chris,
Well wishes.
I'm gonna have a new co-host coming up soon. On this channel, Chris's son, Jalen, will be joining me, making his debut. And
Right.
got a bunch of topics that we're going to talk about. It's just going to be like a free-flowing discussion. I welcome you all to come in and join the conversation. The first conversation that we're going to talk about, part of it is going to go into sugars and the effect of sugars on our diets and how it's affected obesity and things like that in this country. So we're going to get into a lot of different things, and you'll get to hear the perspective of the younger generation and me, I guess so-called now middle-aged generation. So it should be interesting. Wesley says, democracy unweighted by wisdom. Question mark. My ignorance is to equal your well-informed and considered opinion. Very nicely worded. I say in this country, well, and if you go onto my other channel, the political matrix, I have a couple of short videos in there. One of them is called "Voting is a Skill." I advise you to check that one out. And check it out, and then drop in the comments what you think of it. In some of those earlier videos, I go into a little bit of theoretical and psychological breakdown of some things. Though I am kind of faith-based, I have studied a lot of I forgot what I was saying. A lot of theories and a lot of Plato and Socrates and Nietzsche, and going into all of these different philosophies. So occasionally I will get back to doing a couple more shorts and things like that of those videos to kind of break down some of the things they were saying and how they apply today. If you guys have not seen my Allegory to the Cave video, It's not very long. I recommend everybody, if there's any video that I have that I recommend everybody to watch it, go back and watch my Plato's Allegory of the Cave video. That said, oh, Allie, did you have anything? Seb, did you have anything?
No, I just want to say thank you for having us on again.
Yeah, this
It's
was
always
fun.
nice letting us ramble about random shit. Talk shit.
You two are always welcome. You're always welcome.
Thank you.
Anytime you guys, you ladies are not busy and you just want to hop on, I value your takes and your, the way you guys look at things. So thank you for being here again.
Oh yeah, thank you.
Thank you guys, and Elle.
Means a lot.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Shit, thank you.
Take care, chat.
You too.
Be safe. Don't get it nasty.
Thank you.
Love you.
No, thanks. I'm good.
Yes. Thank you, everybody. You guys are so much. Oh goodness, the architect is coming at me again. I better run.
Oh, look at the chat. Oh, good lord, you assholes. I mean that with the best. Like, just come on. Now I'm just looking at the chat now. I'm sorry. I apologize on behalf of this.
The movements for the people's page.
Get out of here. Oh my god.
But yeah, we'll end it on that note. This has been the Political Matrix by way of what I've been thinking with Marcus Cage, which the name will be changing soon once Jalen joins the show. I'm your host, Young Morpheus. Thank you all, and you all have a great weekend. Be safe out there and try to do something good.